The story begins with the hero himself telling the story. He says that it is a bit sudden, but he was reborn in another world. He assumes that everyone will think that he was reborn as a hero, but he answers that he was reborn as a monster, or to be more precise, half-human, half-orc. In the orc village, all the monsters tell the protagonist that his mother is a female knight. They grunt and tell him not to dare call himself an orc. They tell him that he is the weakest, despite being the son of the village elder. They say that he is a disgrace to the orcs. The boy is angry at them, but does not answer them. A man approaches them and asks if he is playing with his friends. The offenders run away, saying that the knight has arrived. A beautiful girl with long hair comes up. The boy offendedly asks his mother what she wants. She asks him if he was bullied again. No one forbids him from fighting back. The boy rudely tells her to shut up. The mother says that you don't talk to your parents like that because his mother didn't raise him like that. The boy blames her, thinking that they treat him like that because she is human. 2 years after his rebirth, when he was still very little, he thought that he was lucky to have such a beautiful mother. He enjoyed the moments when she breastfed him, but all this is in the past. He tells his mother that because she is human, he looks the way he does. He calls himself a weakling. He shouts, pointing his finger at his mother, that it would have been better if he had been born an orc. His mother repeats his words and then smiles. The boy realized that he was in trouble. She pulls out her sword. He knows from experience that his mother is most dangerous when she smiles. She tells him that he is right. He is weaker than the other children, but does that make him weak? She swings towards him, cutting through trees and rocks. The boy stands motionless in complete fear. She says with a serious face that she is a human woman by orc standards. She is barely stronger than a child, but willpower, magic, swordsmanship, by training these aspects, she was able to become strong. She's already told him that he's weak because he doesn't want to be strong, that's all. She says this while pointing the tip of her sword straight at him. The boy falls silent. His mother smiles again, comes up to him, takes his hands and suggests that they train together and become stronger. The boy looks away. He steps away and says that it's not that he needs strength. What good is it in this peaceful village? And besides, his intuition tells him that his mother will give him Spartan training. She calls her son an orc and says that he is wasting his talent. She says that his body structure is closer to that of a human. It is suitable for fencing, and he also inherited her magical power and heightened senses. He is weak compared to other orcs, but his muscles are still stronger than humans. She says that he has human skills and orc strength. If he trains, he can become the strongest. She again happily offers him to start training. He tells her that he can do without it. She again asks with a serious face why. Then she says with a smile that if he is weak, nice girls will not pay attention to him. The boy is shocked and asks what she is even talking about with such a smile. She asks if he has never thought about becoming like his father, a strong man from whom girls want attention. The boy thinks and thinks that they are saying that in the past, his mother was the strongest knight of humanity. When he and his father first met, the then demon lord was fighting with humans, so naturally they met on the battlefield. Having fought thousands of monsters and won duels with countless famous swordsmen, she considered herself the strongest until she lost to her father. The first time in her life she suffered a defeat. No matter what tactics and techniques she used, her father crushed them with his boundless power, and then her mother fell in love. She tells him that she still remembers how she felt then, her body and soul screaming how much he liked him. She believes she was forced to accept that she is a woman and that women want to give birth to a strong child. She asks him to listen and says that if he doesn't become strong, he will only have 2 options: live his whole life with an ugly woman or remain without romantic experience for the rest of his life, so she suggests that he train. He says that he doesn't want to become popular anyway, and besides, he doesn't think girls are cute. The boy doesn't understand if it's because he was reborn or because he looks like a human. Even though he thinks his mother is beautiful, he can't say the same about orcs. His mother tells him that it is because he has never seen a cute girl. The world outside this village is huge and full of cuties. She tells him not to worry because she believes in him. She believes that one day her son will say that he wants to become stronger and wants to make girls obey him and love him. But he himself believes that his mother will never say this out loud. Mother asks how about going home. Today they have an important event that only happens once every 10 years. They come. She tells her husband that she is home. A huge orc with a terrifying voice says that they are back. The father turns to him and looks sternly at his son. The mother climbs up to him to hug him and calls him darling. He with a sweet smile calls her Miley and says hello. Orc says he is home. His father greets him sternly and briefly. He says there is a meeting of the tribal leaders today, so many guests will come, he says, to watch and learn. The tribal leaders' meeting is when the leaders of the 8 allied tribes gather to strengthen bonds once every 10 years. They bring their families with them to the meeting as part of the tradition. And today is the first meeting of Orc. Mother says, pointing to the table, that everything looks so delicious. She asks him, was it worth it? He says nothing. She asks again. He says that he is not at all delighted. The mother asks if he is not worried that the other leaders will bring their sweet daughters. The orc says sternly that this is why he doesn't want to be here. The orcs have a custom, what an orc must do to show himself. Of course, bringing home a girl from another race, this is a long-forgotten custom. Even among adults, only the father followed this custom. He screams that all races hate them, the orc race, all because of this custom. His mother comes up behind him and calls him. She asks him what bothers him about this, and he answers sarcastically that it's probably her way of thinking. He screams that they are no better than animals. Has she even seen how children from other races look at them? She explains that a real orc does not take women by force against their will. The orc tenses up. She calmly says that only garbage forces women to copulate. She will agree only if she is happy about it. He asks if he understands correctly that this is from her personal experience. She says with a smile that he still has a lot to learn about romance and she will teach him. She lists how to check if a woman really doesn't like it when she is forced into intercourse. They can say that they don't like it, but the body can't lie, and so in order to distinguish. The boy interrupts her, asking her to stop. Later in that same hall, the 3 of them are sitting. His father says that they are here. At the threshold of the doors, other heads of races appear and say that they have arrived. Among them are elves, demons, beastmen, dwarves, and so on. These races have allied with the orcs, a race the girl has never seen due to her secluded lifestyle. Then he notices something else. Lovely girls come in. He opens his mouth in surprise. Girls come in beautiful clothes. Orc says they are cute. He thinks these girls are completely different from orcs. The elves have charming golden hair and light green eyes. He wants to caress her long ears. The fox race has fox ears and fluffy tails. He wants to touch them. About another girl, he says that she seems so fleeting to him that he wants to hug her. He can't take his eyes off the contrast between her black wings and snow-white skin. He wants to get these girls at any cost. His mother looks at him with a smile and says that they are girls and asks if he would not like to get to know them better. The orc nods convincingly as the adults finish their difficult conversation. It's time to have fun. They'll be able to talk a lot and get to know each other better, and then he'll secretly plan to escape from the reception. Sometime later, he sits on the roof and looks at the crescent moon. He sighs, bows his head with a sad mood. He didn't get close to any of them. In fact, they went out of their way to avoid him. They ignored him completely. They didn't even give him a chance to try and talk to them. His mother comes up to him and looks at him sternly. She says that the meeting is over. The girls have already gone home. She sits down next to him. He finally says that he couldn't get along with them. She asks why. He looks up sadly. He says through tears that it's because he's an orc and girls from other races hate orcs. He says angrily that he would rather not have met them at all than to experience this. She says he is right, they are hated, but it is not only that. She reminds him that he is weak. She explains that orcs have a mysterious power, a power that reveals the true essence of a woman. He asks her, confused, what she is talking about. She says that although he thinks his mother is bad, all women want to accept a good man into their family. She says that he can strengthen this desire if, in short, the stronger he is, the higher the chances that women will be drawn to him. He asks her in surprise if she is lying. She replies that she is not lying and says that he was rejected not because of his race, but because of his weakness. She exclaims that if he becomes strong, he will only need to meet a girl once for her to beg him to be with her. The boy thinks that orcs rule and how glad he is that he was born an orc. He stands up abruptly and confidently says that he will become strong enough that every girl will want to be with him. Mother says that it finally happened, how she waited for these words. He says that after he saw these cuties, he will never agree to be with an orc girl. He will become strong. He asks his mother to make him strong. She replies that he can count on his mother. The hero of Azure Thunder makes him the strongest man. There are still 4 years until the coming of age ceremony. This is more than enough. He says that when he grows up, he will go on a journey and meet many women. His mother looks at him and is touched by the fact that he has grown up to be such a wonderful man. The orc thinks that if he becomes strong, he will be able to get involved with cute girls. To make this dream come true, he decided to start training with his mother. The mother then suggests they start. He is surprised. Really, right now? Is she really laughing? It is night now. She asks, does he really think they have an extra second? She says that he must become the strongest in the 4 years remaining until his coming of age ceremony. He mumbles that so much has happened today and he is tired. The mother sadly agrees at first, but then takes out some kind of medicine and says that it will help him forget about fatigue and pain. She tells him with a smile that if he drinks it, his head will explode and he will stop feeling pain. He screams that this drug is dangerous. Does she hear him? Fatigue is an important signal from the body, meaning that it is necessary to rest. The mother is outraged that she actually had to ask her friends for help to prepare for this day. The orc says he understands and then asks where his training sword is. She asks what he's talking about. Learning the way of the sword from him at his current level of physical and mental fortitude would be tantamount to ruining himself. She starts running and says that the basis of the basics is to train your body and running is the best option for this. She shouts at him to run and try to keep up. The boy obeys and runs after her. In the process, the boy thinks that he does not feel tired at all. They have been running for 3 hours already, but he is not tired at all. But his body is clearly no longer able to move the way he wants. His body is bursting at the seams from the fact that he has been exhausting himself nonstop. Mother says that it looks like he's close to his limit. She uses regeneration, after which he immediately heals. Mother tells Orc that training is meant to push his body beyond what it can handle, thus breaking his body down so that it can adapt to handle the load. Since they don't have the ability to wait for his body to recover on its own, they will infuse magic into him to activate and speed up his natural recovery and heal his damaged body. This is a secret training method passed down in the royal family of Forland. Do this for 3 days and 3 nights and any weakling will be as strong as a regular soldier. The boy asks in shock if they are really going to run for 3 days. She says with a smile that yes, and 3 days and 3 nights to train his body and going beyond his limits time after time. He will also train his mind and heart. She will not allow him to sleep. The boy says with tension that she is a demon. The orcs meet him, distract him, say that he is finished. The boy runs. His mother says that it is right, let him eat a flatbread. He asks what kind of flatbreads she feeds him every hour. She says with a smile that something incredible. It is a powerful food that was created by a great sage. It contains all the necessary nutrients and helps regulate the balance of water in the body. The boy is surprised when he hears about the great sage. She asks how she got them. She answers that her teacher has them, although now they just drink together. She likes to tell him about her son's growth. The boy says that he doesn't care anymore. They've been running for the 2nd day already. His mind is almost at its limit. The mother does something. The presence of a monster is felt behind them. The boy gets scared and screams, stumbling from fear. He asks her what she did. She replies that she released her lust for murder, nothing more. She asks him with a smile what he thinks. His mother has an incredible thirst for murder. If his legs relax even for a second, she will release him again. She asks if he understands. The boy screams that she is scaring him. At that moment, his whole life flashed before his eyes, and in general, she also ran with him these 2 days. He calls her a monster. He thinks she is an extraordinary person and this training is giving results. He feels his body is constantly getting stronger. Probably mom is sure to the depths of her soul that this is the best method to train him. She tells him there is 1 day left. She suggests picking up the pace. He yells at her to wait. He screams that he will go crazy like that. His mother says that this cannot be allowed, no matter how effective the training is. If he finishes it without motivation, the results will deteriorate sharply. She tells him that in moments like these it is worth shouting. You can inspire yourself if you shout out your goal. He wonders if after everything that happened they will really rely on this. She explains that attitude is very important because in the end it is the strength of his feelings that moves him forward. She asks him why he wants to become strong. He says that there is no need to even ask about it. When Orc saw cuties from other races, his world turned upside down. His mother tells him to do as she says, to scream about his desires. The orc thinks that he will definitely get them and that they will belong to him. Mother says to shout on the count of 3. He shouts about his desire again and again. His mother suggests that he speed up. He keeps shouting throughout the forest so that all the other orcs can hear it. They make a circle. He keeps shouting about his desire. The other orcs think he's crazy. The other thinks it's all because of them. Night comes. The boy falls to the ground, screaming that this is the finish. The mother says that 3 days of hellish training are over. She says that his body and mind should now be strong enough to withstand training with her. Under normal circumstances, it would take him 3 months to become that resilient. He looks at his mother suspiciously. She strokes his head and tells him that he has done well. When they get home, he should eat well, wash up, and rest. Then he adds that he gives him only about an hour and a half, and he is indignant that this is too little. The mother picks him up and tells him to release his spiritual energy and let it flow through his body, so even an hour and a half of sleep will feel like 6. They have 4 years left, so they will have to calculate his sleep time too. The boy falls asleep thinking that if they continue training at this pace for 4 years, he doubts he will live to see that moment. Later, he feels his mother stroking him, something warm spreading through his body. Is it really spiritual energy? It feels so nice to him. The father comes up to them and says that he has finally decided to become strong. The mother replies that this is true. She was excited and surprised that he was able to run to the end, but he is a son. His father tells him to get strong any longer and it might be too late. His mother says they don't know how much longer he can hold back the power flowing through his veins. His father says the power is too great, the boy wouldn't be able to withstand it, so he decides it needs to be sealed. Orc himself doesn't understand what they're talking about. Isn't he training because he's weak? He hears his mother say it's funny. The hero and the demon lord were crushed by a rampaging 5 boy. She wants to tell him everything, wants to say that he has inherited his father's power. Father says that Orc is their child. Someday he will be able to master this power. Mother agrees and says that she can't wait for that day. The mother turns to her husband and asks if he could stop speaking in the Orc dialect when they are alone, as it is difficult to understand him. The father drops the dialect and says in plain English that if he doesn't speak like that all the time, he might make a mistake one day, because the old hymn was quite famous. The boy hears and does not understand at all what they are talking about. The mother tells her husband that he has already disguised himself, but is still worried that he will be revealed by his manner of speech. He replies that nothing can be done. He is the leader of the orcs. He needs to live up to his status. She says that is why she said that only when they are alone. The boy doesn't understand at all. He squints and thinks, this must be a dream. What other hero? What demon lord? His father speaks freely, so he decides that he is definitely sleeping. Then he thinks that he needs to get some sleep. Spartan training with mom will continue tomorrow. Meanwhile, some strangers are riding in the cart. One says that it is already visible. The other says that it is the orc village where Miley lives. Mother tells Orc with a proposal, and today she will give it her all. He says that it is still dark outside. He asks why she is still so cheerful. Hasn't she been running with him nonstop? She replies that it is because she knows how to use spiritual energy. She can stay awake for 10 days without problems, and her battle with his father lasted 2 weeks. The boy thinks to himself that they are monsters. On the street, he asks if they will train with swords today. She answers that they will, or rather that's what she would like to say. First, he will meet with his teachers who will help him become the strongest. He asks why this. He thought that she would teach him everything herself. She replies that she cannot teach him everything alone. She explains that she can only teach him the use of spiritual energy, sword techniques, and some magic. He asks if that's more than enough, and didn't she say it would take him 10 years to become a sword master? She says that this is true, so he needs to train at least 20 times harder than usual. Those 3 days were just a preliminary test. The boy asks if that run was really just a test. They approach the cart. The mother says that here they are. The orc tenses up. First, a large and heavy man comes out. He says Miley Forland, that is, Orc's mother, that they have not seen each other for a long time, calling her the hero of the Azure Thunder. He thanks her for the invitation. They hold hands. This is Mr. Half-Landrel. She says she is glad to see him in good health. He says that he finally has the opportunity to thank her for everything she taught him. He will share with her son all the knowledge with which he created the company Landrel. The orc wonders what kind of company is Landrel. Isn't it the most prosperous of human companies, from socks to weapons, goods for every taste? He doesn't believe that this is the same company Landral. And this is the man who made that company what it is today, the god of merchants. He doesn't understand how it happened that his monstrous mother is able to call someone like him. Then he gets out of the cart. He is tall. The first thing he says is that he cannot believe that the boss actually got married. He says he didn't think the Princess of Death could change so much. He offers to talk about old times. He is sure that his stories will bring her boy to tears. Miley smiles and asks him not to bring up the past in front of her son. He doesn't want her to punish him. She calls him a crybaby Roland Bell. Orc and Roland Bell tense up. The orc thinks that the name Roland Bell sounds very familiar to him. Miley says that she wants him to teach her son martial arts and spiritual energy control. He says that it's all right. He swears by the honor of the king of martial arts, Roland Bella, that will make her son a great fighter. The orc suddenly remembers that this is the king of martial arts, Roland Bell, who has been the champion of the martial arts tournament for 3 years in a row, the strongest among people, and a master of hand-to-hand combat. He began to understand that his mother knew that merchant and that guy. He doesn't understand how they are connected. Meanwhile, a third person gets out of the cart. He turns around and is horrified. He searches for something in his pocket, then takes out coins with a person's face on them. When he looks up, he realizes that the third man is on the coin. He starts to smile when he sees Miley. He says she should move from this orc village to the castle. Miley calls him Grandpa and says she likes it here. The orc tenses up. What Grandpa? The man bows and says that if she is happy. He was shocked when he learned that she was marrying an orc, but seeing her smile, he is glad that she got married. Then the man looks at Orc. He asks if this is his great-grandson. He strokes his head and says that he will raise him to be the next heir to the throne, teach him everything he needs to know, how to understand politics, the laws. This is the former king, Vorio, Forlin the Wise, so they couldn't find a better teacher. The orc is shocked by this. He asks his mother what this means. Is he really the great-grandson of the former king? She asks in surprise. Hasn't she told him? She explains that before marrying his father, she was the princess of the kingdom of Forland, and she was also chosen as a hero. She says that everyone who arrived today is her friends and relatives. They have known each other for a long time. He asks in shock why she married an orc and lives in an unknown place. Grandpa puts food in his mouth and tells him to eat. He asks if the wise Vor is really feeding him sweets. Miley says that it looks like one is missing. Grandpa says that even compared to them, his schedule is even busier. Orc wonders if there is another one. Roland Bell says he came at the boss's request, but in truth he really wants to meet this man. HALF says he wants to too. Without him, their company would never have become so big. The orc thinks that he must be an incredible person for everyone to respect him so much. Suddenly, he flies on huge wings. They all look at the sky. These wings land and turn into an incomprehensible consistency. Orc wonders if it's slime. He feels something strange. All 3 of the arrivals began to tremble. Miley bows sharply, and with her, everyone else except Orc. Miley says they were waiting for him, calling the slime teacher. This slime makes some sounds. The orc thinks that someone who can sense magical energy would understand how absurd this is. Such a thing simply cannot exist. It's like a star. If it released its power, it could destroy a country in minutes. Why can a slime, the weakest monster, have such power? The slime turns into a man with a dark aura. Roland Bell says that this is the legendary sage, Merlin and Light. Merlin and Light, his name is mentioned in many stories and legends. His name is carved into the history of both humans and monsters. A great sage, a great hero, a living legend. It is said that he accelerated the development of human civilization by 300 years. Merlin and Light turns to Miley and says that he may have given her the right to one request, but to train her son. He wanted to say something, doesn't change his mind, and says that perhaps it is very like her. Miley thanks him for agreeing to listen and accept her selfish request. Merlin and Light asks her to raise her head because he also has a daughter of his own, so he understands her feelings. He says that teaching someone who has no talent would be a waste of time. He asks to be allowed to evaluate her son. He approaches Orc and places his hand on his head, and there is silence. He then says that his potential is enough for him to take on his training, though he is inferior to his third daughter. Meili apologizes to him and says that her orc's true talent lies in his swordsmanship and spiritual energy. Marilyn in Light turns around and says that actually no, his second daughter is better. She asks what about pure power. He replies that overall it's not bad, but his daughters are still better than him, especially because they're cute. The orc stands between them and listens to them awkwardly. Merlin in Light says she would be speechless if she saw his daughters with her own eyes, though he asks her to forget. He will not allow them to meet this embodiment of bad qualities. Meili screams that the fact that Orc is the epitome of bad qualities is what makes him awesome. Orc in the background asks his mom not to say that. He asks her not to agree that he is the epitome of bad qualities. Meili coughs and says that now all the teachers are assembled. He turns to Orc and says that these are the best teachers she has collected to make him the strongest. Orc yells that she has clearly gone too far. He points at them and says that with them you can conquer the world, and anyway, he will never be able to learn so much at once. Meili tells him that under normal circumstances, yes. She tells him with a smile that they will therefore have to overcome the norm and start hammering all this knowledge into him. With it, nothing is impossible. Orc asks if it's worth going that far to become stronger, and she confidently replies that of course it is. She explains that if he loses his sword, he can rely on his fists, that is, on martial arts. He wants to please many cute girls, and for this he needs a lot of resources, that is, he needs to understand economics in order to integrate into human society. He needs to know their history, political system, and laws. This is where knowledge of how to govern a country comes in handy. All this knowledge will definitely help him achieve his goal of meeting cuties. The orc thinks that she is right. If he does not have at least this knowledge, meeting the best girls will remain a dream for him. He bitterly thinks that he was wrong. The path to the harem is more difficult than he could have imagined. All these great people have gathered here. With their knowledge, he will become an ideal man. He will be able to become popular. He screams at his mother and teachers to take care of him, and then all the girls will belong to him. His mother is touched by his words. 4 teachers applaud him. At that moment, he could not even imagine that during the training, medicine, magic, and other cheating would be used. Even hell would seem like heaven compared to his training. The mother hands Orc a piece of paper and says that it is his training schedule. He calmly starts reading and then becomes horrified. He wonders if this is a schedule for 4 years where everything is scheduled down to the second. He sees a star and asks his mother what kind of symbol it is. She replies that it shows the day when the great sage Merlin created and light will be able to use the time rift. Inside this rift, the flow of time is slowed down. 20 days inside equal 1 day outside. He is surprised. Is there anything impossible for the great sage? The orc says it's a starry day today. He has an exceptionally bad feeling about all this. Mother says that Roland Bell is the first in line. He agrees and says that he will first implant in him how to use spiritual energy. Mother says that during this day, that is 20 days, she wants him to teach the orc the basics, from her feeling to concentration at will, if possible. Roland Bell asks her if she understands that it takes no less to reach that level. She says with a smile that this is an ordinary person. She allows him to act as harshly as he wishes. He is her child. It is not so easy to kill him. Besides, he is gifted. Roland Bell agrees and tells him not to complain if he dies. The orc in the background wonders why they are so carefree about this. Marilyn in Light gets to work. He stretches out his hands. Magic circles appear. Roland Bell shouts for Orc to follow him, calling him the boss's son. Asking his name, he replies Orc. He smiles and says he understands, introduces himself as Roland Bell, and asks to be called teacher. They enter a portal. Orc gets scared and screams. They find themselves in a completely white space and see an hourglass. The orc sees and is surprised. Roland Bell says he hasn't been here for a long time. When he was still traveling with his mother, one strong opponent defeated him. In despair, he fled here and began to train. Orc asks if they were traveling with their mother. He replies that it is true, and that they were traveling with the goal of saving the world. In truth, that very enemy was his father. The orc begins to think that the squad, consisting of Mom, Roland Bell, and Murden and Leda, did their father really crush them all? How strong is he? Orc says he wants to ask a lot of things, but the first thing he asks now is what about food? He says there is 0 food. Once he learns to use spiritual energy, he will not have a problem living 20 days without food. He asks if this energy is too convenient. Roland Bell says they won't be able to get out until all the sand in the hourglass is empty, so he suggests they start the lesson. He asks him first of all what he knows about spiritual energy. He answers that only that it is a convenient force. He explains that one could say that this is a life force. It is in every living creature. To begin with, he decides to teach him to feel spiritual energy. Orc notes that his mother said he was especially good at this. Roland Bell thinks about it, then places his hand on Orc's shoulder. He senses something is wrong and immediately pulls away. He asks what just happened. He says that he just concentrated a drop of energy in his hand. If that didn't awaken his senses, then there is nothing special about him. He says that he has a real weight off his shoulders. After the method he is going to use, people usually die. In fact, many have died. At first he did not dare to use this disgusting method, but now he is sure that everything will go as it should. The orc begins to tense. Roland Bell tells him not to dare die, then suddenly approaches him and places his palm on his stomach. It looks like the power is penetrating and passing through the stomach. The orc flies far back and starts screaming because he sees a big black hole in his stomach. Roland Bell tells him to calm down and listen. Spiritual energy is the energy of life, therefore it feels most strongly when he is at the gates of death, so he dealt him enough damage to send him there. Then he tells him that if he does nothing, he will die in a few minutes. It is unlikely that this will awaken his senses, but it will awaken his natural survival instinct. Now that he is between life and death, he must be able to feel his life energy. He tells Orc to awaken this sense, to create a clear image of it in his head. Orc only groans, saying that it hurts and that he is dying. Roland Bell tells him that he will fail and die. He will soon master in 20 days what usually takes 5 years. He should at least be prepared to put his life on the line. The orc lies and understands that he will not save him. He does not want to die. He is sure that he will not die. He remembers that he has not yet caressed the elf's ears. He has not yet plunged his face into and sniffed the tail of the cute beastman. He still has to win the cute girls, so he can't die. Suddenly a huge power illuminates him. Roland Bell turns and looks at Orc in shock. He screams that the power that they use subconsciously to survive, he feels it. Something invisible to the eyes, he feels it. He tries harder to concentrate everything on one point. His huge wound begins to heal. The hole closes, leaving only a scar on his stomach. He feels this warmth, this spiritual energy. He gets up and tells Roland Bell that because of him he almost died. Roland Bell says with a smile that he is not dead and well. It usually takes 3 years to learn what he has just done, but he did it in about 5 minutes. Roland Bell throws him a potion and tells him to drink it. It belongs to Merlin and Light. He may have healed the wound, but the fatigue remains. He asks if this is spiritual energy, what he calls warmth. He replies that it is precisely this, that he feels it, which means that he has grasped the basics. He says that the next step is to accumulate this energy in their body. They will spend the next 20 days on this. The orc understands that he feels it. His intuition tells him that by accumulating this energy in his body, he can become stronger. He asks Roland Bell how to do it. He says that he has to figure it out himself, and it's not that he doesn't want to help, it's just that this method is different for everyone. He has to find the one that suits him by trial and error. Roland Bell starts doing finger push-ups and says that he has lost too much blood today, so he advises him not to overexert himself, then tells him not to relax or he will beat him up. The orc says that he will try, but he will not hold back. He must learn to use this power even a second faster if possible, so he can cope as quickly as possible. Roland Bell wonders if he's already at that level, but the boss wasn't saying it out of parental feelings. He admits that he's a little jealous now. Eventually, Roland Bell and Orc return and meet their mother in the forest. Mother congratulates them both on their return, and he says that he has returned. Miley says it's amazing how much he's changed. She asks how training is going. Roland Bell asks Orc to show her. The Orc immediately says that now he can only accumulate this spiritual energy, after which he shows the entire process. Miley looks at him with tension and asks if he really achieved this in just 20 days. She asks Roland Bell if he is such a genius teacher. He answers that he is not, and that Orc is a genius. No matter how good a teacher he is, he could not achieve such a result. Orc thinks to himself that it's a good thing he trained hard these 20 days. Miley says that then they will move on to today's schedule. She suggests dividing the classes into 2 parts. First physical training and then studying. He will sleep for an hour and a half, just right for a nap. The orc sarcastically says that this is just great. He doesn't see anything strange in this schedule. It's completely doable. He says that he can get girls' attention by becoming stronger, so why should he study? She says that he is right. If he becomes strong enough, he will be able to attract girls' attention. She also adds that this is not the end of it. Then the long finale begins. He must try to make his woman and child happy, and for this he must have the necessary knowledge and resources. The orc begins to understand that even if he becomes popular and gets the attention of girls, if his beloved suffers because of him, he will be no better than the last loser. Orc screams at his mother that she opened his eyes. He will do everything to become a worthy man. Miley screams this is the spirit and that it is time to learn. Then his training schedule became even more intense. Grandpa tells Orc that he is doing well, calling him a dear grandson. He puts the books in front of him and tells him to now memorize the contents of all these history books. This is basic knowledge and he has 2 days to do it. If he can't handle such a trifle, he can forget about volunteering to teach him. The orc realizes that they are now in a bookstore. The orc shouts that this is nonsense. It will take at least a week to read all this. Miley asks the boy if he was lying when he said that he wants to become a worthy man. Miley says that if he doesn't do it, his mom will do something like this to him. He understands and says that it's a very dangerous sound effect and that he will definitely die. Marilyn Enlight says that he has prepared a potion for him that will help him concentrate and improve his memory. It will speed up his brain to an incredible level. He tells him not to worry, he can restore it even if he dies. Orc yells better do it before he dies. Then he just decides to start, so he reads. The orc reads and thinks that the lessons that followed the basic ones were interesting. All the information that he remembered and put together became a chain of history. But the final test, in which he, as the king's representative, had to unite the people of a small country, almost brought him to the brink. There's chaos in the country, a civil war is going on, one wrong order from him and thousands will die. It seemed to him that from all this stress he aged several years. The same can be said about Landor's economics lessons. Not only did he have to develop his math skills, he also began to hammer home business knowledge. As a final test, he was suddenly thrown into another country with 1,000 gil in hand, and he had to open a shop and increase his profits many times over in 3 months. He thinks this is even possible. The last, but by no means the best, lessons in magic from a great sage who is clearly not of this world. Marilyn Enlight tells him that the magic he is about to teach him will kill the idiot the first time he tries to use it, so he asks him to try it and learn from his mistakes. He tells him not to be afraid. Thanks to this potion he will not die. Expanding his knowledge of potions, he will also look into the abyss called magic. He tells him again not to be afraid. Even if he dies, he can bring him back to normal. ORK asks if he is now a guinea pig. And then sword training with his mother. She tells him that now he will experience what it is like to die 10,000 times. The orc doesn't understand what she's talking about. She says that right before he dies he can see the world in slow motion. If he can enter that state at will, wouldn't he become the strongest? She comes towards him suddenly, sword right in front of his face, a blow powerful enough to make his brain believe he's dead. And this will be repeated thousands of times. In fact, it is difficult and scary, but you cannot retreat. Under the guidance of his teachers, he stopped being weak. Days and months passed, and so 4 years passed. Time flies, training is finally over, all his teachers are happy. In a few days he will leave the orc village and go on a journey. Orc's father says it's time to go on a journey. Orc calls him dad with a smile. His father calls him to follow him because there is a serious conversation. The orc appears right in front of his mother and father. He doesn't understand and asks why they are in ceremonial robes. His mother asks him to listen to them. She says that mom and dad were hiding something from him. Dad says that his power is weak, so teaching him human skills, he starts saying that he's fed up with it. He screams, well, how can he explain anything with such a manner of speech? The orc screams, but he can still speak normally. He realizes that the dream was real. His father tells him that his father was a demon lord in the past. Although he has long since retired, everything is very complicated, so it would be bad if someone recognized him. The orc, shocked, asks how he could drop such a bomb on him so suddenly. Suddenly, his father changes his appearance and becomes an ordinary person, a man with beautiful long hair. The orc shouts that now he has also been reincarnated. The father says that he is an orc and all orcs can transform. It is normal. The son screams that he is lying. Out of the whole village, only he did it. Father says that no matter what form he takes, he remains himself. He used this form when he was a demon lord. He never told him, but this is no ordinary orc village. He doesn't understand what he's talking about. Father starts to explain that there are many orcs, the lower orc, the orc lord, the orc warrior, and they are evolving orcs. When a woman of another race gives birth to a child from them, the child inherits her strong traits. This transformation skill is also one of those that are acquired in this way. The orc thinks that inheriting only strong traits to create even stronger offspring is much more efficient than selective breeding. He asks, "This is a lie, what kind of monster is this then? Maybe he is like that, but what about the rest of the villagers, and what about himself?" Father says that the evolving orcs have a serious flaw. The gene of a child born from a representative of the same race will be reset. He will be born an ordinary orc. One single mistake and the work of thousands of years will go down the drain. He says that everyone from his great-grandfather's generation, except the leader of the tribe, decided to do this. That's why the village became like this. The orc screams, why throw everything under the knife? He replies that they decided to do this not because they wanted to, they continued to develop and become stronger, and eventually they reached their limit. As their power grows, they begin to lose control of it. Some die before reaching adulthood, some go crazy and go berserk. If this continued, the evolving orcs would die out, so they had to do this. Between preserving the tribe and pursuing power, they chose the former, and they keep it a secret to prevent another tragedy from pursuing power. Orc asks his father why he was born strong. He answers that the blood of the tribe's leader is special. It lasted for several generations longer, and everything should have ended with him. He realized that the next generation would not endure and would break, so he thought of marrying someone from their tribe, however. He hugs Miley and says that he wants a child from his mother, after which they kiss. Orc looks at this with disgust. He says he got the gist of it, but that doesn't explain why he was born weak. His father doesn't understand what he's talking about, because he inherited all his strength and all the strength of his mother, the strongest person in history. They tell him that he was too strong. On his 5th birthday he went into a rage. He asks, does he know about the lake behind this mountain? He answers that there used to be a forest there. He made a hole there and water poured in, and now they have a lake. He tells that the demon lord, the hero, along with the 4 supreme demon lords, the hero's squad, and the great sage Merlin and Light, they tried every method they could think of and were finally able to subdue him. The orc thinks and understands now. That's what it is. Now he knows why he doesn't remember anything about those times. He is told that in the end, Merlin and Light sealed his power as an evolving orc, which is why he became weak, and today Merlin and Light will teach him one final lesson on how to remove the seal. The orc is surprised and asks if it can be removed. Miley says that all that training was so that he could handle this power. Orc asks, so mom made him train like this so that nothing would happen to him if the seal was suddenly removed. Mom says, that it could be in vain. The probability that he would lose control forever is 80–90%. She says with a smile that that's why they left the removal of the seal for last. She only wanted to protect what was dear to her, but now there's nothing more she can do if the seal were to suddenly break. The orc looks at her tensely. The mother finishes the sentence by saying that he would come back through the power of love. He says that it is too scary, so he decides to abstain. There is silence. Mother says that that is all they wanted to say. They wanted to tell him about it before they parted. She says that they have placed too heavy a burden on him. They have caused him much pain. The orc closes his eyes. He thanks them for telling him the truth. Whatever this power is, he is glad to inherit the power of his dad and mom. Mom rushes to hug him. She says through tears that she is so happy. To be honest, she was afraid that he would hate her. Orc asks her to stop. Silence falls again. Father approaches them. Orc thinks that maybe mother has a little problem with her head. Her love for him is sincere. Suddenly Miley begins to feel something. He moves away. His father and Orc himself also tense up. A dark force is visible from the ceiling. The ceiling cracks. They find out that it is teleportation magic. Is it possible that someone can use such super high-class magic? They ask who it is. A little fairy flies to them and congratulates him. The whole family looks at her with distrust. The fairy says that everything is correct. He was chosen as the king of the fairies. She says that he is lucky. He will gain the power of the king of the fairies and in the mark as proof of it. Orc's hand starts to hiss. He looks and sees some kind of sign on his hand. The fairy tells him to follow her now. However, she realizes with disgust that it is an orc and screams that the fairy king has gone mad. It can't be. Is she really going to be the orc's guide? The orc thinks that this fairy has something wrong with her head, broke into someone else's house, and is talking nonsense. The orc shouts to the fairy, she gets scared, the orc stares at her and then says that she looks pretty, a delight to the eyes. The fairy panics from such words and screams that she cannot believe this, therefore for her, orcs are disgusting. Miley tells her son that he has become so wonderful, who would have thought that a fairy would disturb him. Orc says that this is a typical orc joke. She says that this joke is disgusting. The orc shouts at her to forget and asks what she wants here. What is this mark on his hand? She says with a serious face that he was chosen by the king of the fairies to become a hero. The orc asks if he was really seriously chosen as a hero. The fairy replies that he was and that she is here to inform him of this. Orc asks if it's possible to get the hero's power back. To be honest, it would only cause trouble, so he'd rather give it up. The fairy smiles at first and then screams in horror that a human would dance with joy and accept her without delay, and not like these orcs. The orc says that unfortunately for her, he is an orc. He is only interested in women, and since due to the size difference he will not be able to take advantage of this, so he asks to finally go home with her. The fairy screams that he is so stupid that she does not know how to react. She still doesn't understand why the fairy king chose such an animal as a hero. Orc shouts, "Who is this? Let her know." His childhood friends are actually herbivores, although in the past they often bullied him. Including him, everyone grew up to be respected adults and good friends. At the meeting he was asked if he was going on a journey. Orc then replied that he would go look for women. Those three orcs are thinking about women from the outside world. They tell one that his mom is a real beauty. He thought so too, even though he kept it a secret. How jealous he is, that's why they bullied him. ORK remembers this meeting and says that he takes his words back. They really are animals. The orc says that's how it is, then asks the fairy if he can bring her back, showing the mark. The fairy says no way, he was chosen once, so he is chosen forever. The fairy says that it seems he misunderstood. The hero is not forced to fulfill his duty, he is only allowed to use this power. The orc asks if this won't cause trouble for the fairy king. She says he doesn't have to worry about that. Anyway, he is destined to defeat those the fairy king deems a threat. The orc doesn't understand her. The fairy explains that there is a fairy king. He is the supreme being who protects this world. He gives the power of a hero to those who are destined to fight the threat to this world. The orc says to correct him if he got it wrong, as he, as a hero, is not obliged to follow any orders, nor receive them from the fairy king. The fairy says that he will find out the details from Miley. She is his predecessor. Miley says that the fairy told the truth because mom herself decided to fight. The fairy says how tired she is. What other orc is a hero? This is unheard of. She flies up and looks into the orc's eyes. She tenses up and asks Miley what she did. What kind of monster is this? How did he already have hero power if he wasn't given it, and now he has double the hero power? Miley says it's a useful power, so she asked her friend to make it transferable. The fairy yells at her not to dare treat the fairy king's power. She panics and explains that if she keeps passing it on and one day the world will be overrun with heroes. Miley tells her not to worry, only one person can do that. The orc understands to himself that this is most likely the great sage Merlin. In light, how many times did he owe him already? Orc asks if his mother passed on her hero power to him. He feels deep inside a power similar to the one that this mark gave him. He says that she has been sleeping in him all this time, so he decides to wake her up. He searches deep in his body for this warmth, and then he finds it. He concentrates it in his left hand, after which the mark appears on his other hand. He tells Miley to look. He has marks on both of his hands. Miley claps and says how adorable he is. The fairy is even more shocked. The orc says that since there are two of them, he will call them double fairy marks. The fairy shouts that one cannot have more than one. No one knows what will happen if there are two. The orc says that he feels an incredible amount of energy being released, and then adds that it is the hero's power granted by the fairy king. He imagines fairies in his head. He feels that all the fairies within a radius of hundreds of kilometers are flocking here. Usually, to borrow power from the fairies, one must first perform a complex ritual, but now they have come to ask him to use their power. The fairy starts to get angry and then screams that she doesn't care about anything, even if this world is destroyed. Miley suggests that she calm down. She screams at Miley that it's her fault. She used to be so sincere and punctual, but after meeting this orc, she went crazy. The orc says he's just glad he's not being forced to solve someone else's problems, and the fairy stops before flying away. The orc says that he will only ever have to defeat someone the Fairy King considers a threat, so the fairy can safely return. She angrily screams that he didn't have to say anything. She's still coming back. She shouts that she has to report to her superiors from time to time, that she will drop by again and even consult him, if only he doesn't forget to prepare juice for her. Orc says she's interesting. Miley says he's chosen as a hero, so Mom is proud of him. The orc thinks that perhaps he should admit that he was lucky to have gained such a useful power. Besides, when he felt the power of the hero, he also felt another power, the hidden power of the orc, sealed by the great sage. Orc comes to Merlin and Light, calls him teacher, and asks to be allowed to take part in his final lesson. He says that there are 2 mountains between them and the village. There are no villages or settlements nearby. The teacher chose this place so that no one would get hurt if he suddenly lost control. Merlin and Light tells him that he must be aware of how dangerous the power sleeping within him is. He turns to him and tells him that he has 2 options. Study this seal and forever depend on the stability of this power, or seal it completely, forget about it, and move on. He says that he has created a more advanced sealing technique, with which he will be able to live his entire life in peace. The orc says that he has already decided. He asks to tell him about this seal. He will not reject his blood and power. The teacher asks if he craves power. He answers that he will not deny it, but even more so, he does not want to lose it. This power is the apogee of the work of all his predecessors and his father. This power is a part of him. It makes him who he is now. Merlin and Light says that this is a good answer, then suggests moving on to the last lesson. He will share with him everything he learns about the seals. The orc happily agrees. Then the great sage Merlin and Light taught him everything about seals. It's incredibly complex and hard to understand, but thanks to what he's been taught for 4 years, he's got a handle on it. He believes that the teacher tried to make him understand, hammering into him all the necessary knowledge and techniques. Finally, he taught him the sealing technique so that he could use it himself, so that if his seal ever fell off, he could do something about it. Merlin and Light tells him that now he knows everything about seals, now they will move on to practice. He tells him to try to release his power. He also says to remember that his seal consists of 3 parts. He will remove the first and will be able to use the crumpled part of his power. The second half, the third all, he must take into account that the more power he releases, the more difficult it will be to seal it again. The orc understands him, clenches his fists, then uses anti-release. He feels like the chains are breaking and his back is lashed with life energy. He screams. In an instant, he turns into a huge monster, screams, and starts hitting everything around, destroying the land. In the distance stands Merlin and Light. He notices him and breaks the wall he was standing on. Merlin and Light says that this is only a fifth, but already such power, along with his growth, his strength grew. For him, it is interesting. The orc's fist flies straight at Merlin and Light, but he just grabs him by the huge hand and throws him into the bend. Merlin and Light says it's a shame. He shouts that it is shameful to lose oneself because of such a minor outburst, and he dares to call himself his disciple. The orc remembers all the lessons. He must remember his goal. All this training was not for the sake of going crazy from this power. He remembers that his name is Orc. He is a warrior who was trained and educated by 5 of the best teachers. He's reincarnating Merlin, and Light says he has finally come to his senses, calling him a foolish student. The orc apologizes for showing him his ugly side. Merlin and Light says that it looks like he can handle removing the first seal. He replies that he can, but he can't hold out for long. He thinks that just removing the first seal has exhausted him so much that if he lets down his guard for a moment, he might not come back. Merlin and Light tells him to restore the seal now. He asks if he can handle it. Orc replies that he will try. He slowly removes the seal. The dark forces disappear from him. Merlin and Light says that this is great and that he can restore it himself. He replies that he can, but only the first one. You can't take off more than one. The orc thinks that all his physical and magical training cannot compare to this, so this is what kind of power he inherited. He now understands it. Merlin and Light says that feeling it himself is already a huge experience. He doubts that anyone could stand in his way with all the skills they taught him and the power he showed him. The orc bows and thanks him for everything, Merlin, and Light smiles and says that instead of a diploma, he will give him this cane with a hidden dagger. He holds out his hands and says that he will gladly accept it. He thinks he owes him more than he can ever repay. Without him, he wouldn't be who he is today. Marilyn and Light says that it is time for him to go. His daughters are waiting for him with delicious food ready. He tells Orc that he has changed so much. He is sure that there is no man in the world better than him. He is proud of him and worthily calls him his student, after which he flies away. The Orc said goodbye to all his teachers. HALF tells him that he wishes he ran his business in the new open countries. He regrets it. Roland Bell invites him to fight him in a martial arts tournament in 2 years. He says that he will accept his challenge as an opponent. Grandpa asks if he wants to be the next heir to the throne because he is 100 times better than the current successor. He asks him to think about it. He will even support him. They leave, Smiley and Orc bowing after them. Later in the room, Orc reflects that they all gave themselves completely to his training. They showered him with love. He would like to live up to their expectations because they all seem very interesting. However, he looks at his parents sleeping in each other's arms. He says with a smile that he is leaving. He must fulfill his dream. It is time to go on a journey. Suddenly he stops, turns around and sees huge fireworks. He can't believe his eyes. In the distance he sees a crowd of people. His father, his mother, those 3 orcs and his teachers holding a poster in their hands. He starts to cry, wipes them away, and moves forward with the thought that they will be proud of him, because he will definitely create the best harem in the world. His destination is far beyond the kingdom of Forland, one of the few large cities on this continent, probably a large city where you can meet many people. The Orc goes out into the field and says the distance should be about 500 kilometers. He guesses it's probably about 4 hours. He starts running sharply, leaving dust behind him. He uses haste, and then asks the fairies of the wind to light and air friction to 0. He runs faster than any transport. A carriage comes towards him. A passenger in it asks what he just saw. He finds himself in another city. He thinks about what to expect from a big city, and now he decides to check how popular he is. Men approach him, telling him to stand still, calling him a country bumpkin. They tell him to give them his things. They will put them to good use. The Orc puts down his backpack, turns to him and says that he didn't hear something, so he asks them to repeat it. Then he asks in surprise how they guessed that he was from the village. The 3 robbers look at him in bewilderment. They shout that it is clear at a glance. Let him look at his clothes. Someone is sure that he named his cow Hanako. The Orc stands there and can't believe it. He says that her name is not Hanako, but Setsuko. The man flies towards him with his fist and shouts, but what do they care about the name of some cow? His fist stops right in front of the Orc's face, and he immediately hits the robber in the face, after which he flies several meters away from them. The 2 look on in surprise, and then one of them runs at him with a knife. The Orc picks up a rock with his foot and kicks it into the man's leg. He immediately falls, hugging his leg and screaming in pain. The 3rd one swings his club at him. The Orc summons fire fairies. The fairy comes and flies to the robber. He screams in pain. Fire is coming from him now. The robbers say that this can't be. The Orc says that no one died. Well, great. He looks at his mark and says that he is not good at containing his power. He thinks that he was careless. He may have studied economics and the basics of running a kingdom, but not fashion and trends. He may also speak with an accent, but he decides to make a plan first and then look for a top-notch girl. While he was walking down the street, they shouted at him to get out of the way. He sees a car with a steel cage. All the guys surround the cage and say, "Look at this, how rare it is." They shout that it's an elf. The Orc looks at the elf in the cage, whose mouth is glued shut and whose hands are chained. The Orc looks at her and thinks how cute she is. It seems she is not from their allied tribe. He does not understand why she is in a cage. The merchant greets the lucky buyers. He presents them with the yubak caught in the forest elf. He describes that naturally a product of this class cannot be sold at regular auctions, so they will present it at the annual Grand Festa auction. They can buy it, they can do whatever they want with it. He says that it is a rare product that does not often appear on the market. He continues to describe her. The boys say they want to get her, but they are sure that they will not succeed. The Orc looks at all this seriously. Sometimes he wonders the people think monsters are scary and dangerous, but what about them? They kidnap girls from other races, treat them like disposable goods. Even monsters wouldn't do that. The Orc continues to look at the crying elf. The car drives away. He thinks that elves caught by humans will only have a nightmare. As a half-human, he can't leave her, and besides, he wants to get her. He looks at the flyers and says that there are still 2 months until the auction. That dealer wants to sell it, so there is no need to worry about it being touched until then. He thinks that he can buy it at auction, which will require at least 2 million gil. He has some gems and mushrooms that could be sold, then he says that it is impossible. The business skills that the god merchant taught him will not allow this to be done. The girl asks him if he really wants to buy her shop. She asks again if he really does, even if it is unprofitable and they are on the same street from the main one. He confidently says that he does and that it makes no difference to him. The orc says that he wants to open his own business in this city, but it will take time to get it off the ground, so he wants to buy her shop and get permission to do it quickly. He thinks to himself that he can't afford a shop on the main street, considering how expensive they are. She asks him what kind of business he wants to open. He replies that a grocery store. There are many young workers in this city. Tasty and nutritious food should attract their attention. First, he will sell it and save up money. The girl wonders if it will be that simple, and he himself sees the state of her dango shop. In the end, the girl leaves and says that he is some kind of weirdo, but she is glad to get rid of this shop. At night, Orc stands behind the shop and looks at the soy sauce, ketchup, and mayonnaise. The sauces he created in the village through trial and error. He tried to recreate the tastes of his world. Even after reincarnating here, he still remembers that world. He says that food from that world that can attract young people, he is sure that it will definitely do. He will make katsu from minced meat, katsu from minced meat from another world. An orc chases a boar. He grabs it, lifts it up, and decides that he will run until all the blood flows out. This will make the meat tastier, and then clean it. He carries the cut meat and says that the meat of one boar is ready. He will collect the ingredients for cooking himself, so his business will have zero cost price. He crawls through the mountains and collects rare mushrooms that grow only on the ledges. These are important spices. The meat of the otherworldly boar is tough and has a strong smell, but these mushrooms will reduce the smell and enhance the taste. He says that we need to collect the rest of the ingredients, medicinal plants, herbs, since this is zero cost, and also a beehive for honey. He collects all the ingredients, comes to the shop and starts cooking. First he chops everything and then adds secret sauces. He will add the flavor of his home world, the nutritious meat of the boar with the taste of rare mushrooms. It will give a strong taste that no other food can compare to. He forms the katsu, adds the breadcrumbs, and it's done. That should be enough, but the merchant god taught him a technique to get customers flocking to him, to advertise himself and get people talking about him. Smell plays an important role to advertise yourself and make people talk about you. You need money, so he decided to look for clients using smell. He bought a shop near the main street, close enough for people to catch the scent. Once that happened, he would win. He continues to cook everything, making katsu. People slowly approach them and watch as Orc puts the cutlets in the deep fryer. The meat starts to fry. The people continue to watch in surprise. One of them says that it smells so nice. He asks to give one piece. The other asks for 100 gil for it. They take it, say that they see something like this for the first time. They doubt whether it is prepared at all. In this world, they don't know about fried food. This is also one of the factors of his victory. Now he is waiting for them to try the first katsu in their lives. They try it and start shouting that it's so delicious. The juices are flowing out of the meat. They order one, then three. They say they can eat it all day. Orc asks them to wait a little. Then the hysterical screams of the customers will attract the attention of others, and thus a queue will appear. Those who saw this queue people will become interested and come closer. This queue will attract another queue, and opposite this queue is katsu. A few days later, a crowd forms in front of his shop. People shout for 5-10 grand. They eat and can't stop. The orc thinks with a smirk that they have never eaten anything like this before, that they can't stop, so they are already addicted to it. He is sure that for everyone it is now like a necessary thing. They shout that it is amazing. They ask what is the name of this shop. Orc remembers that he made the sign. The shop is now called Katsu from Orc. Now his plan to open a business has come to success. A fat man passing by looks at his shop. He is suspicious. Since his profit has increased sharply in the last half-month since his shop has become famous, the following happened. Another shop has opened. People say it's Yamiki's signature katsu shop and it's already open. The luli approach them and ask if they sell katsu. They buy 3 pieces. Orca stands in the background and watches. One of the workers notices him and tells the head lord Yamakia. This fat, heavyset man says that he made this katsu according to his original recipe. He asks, he didn't come to complain, did he? Orc knows him, he is one of the rich people of this city, although he is just a spoiled loser son. He opened many shops without first calculating the profits, and it is clear as day that he is imitating his shop. He is trying to steal his katsu. The orc smiles and tells him that it is not so, his is clearly different from his orc katsu, so why would he complain, after which he says goodbye and leaves. Yamaki shouts after him on the spot, is he really afraid of his financial support? Let him come to him. The orc thinks what is there to be afraid of, his victory is already predetermined. His signature orc katsu is different from their low-quality meatballs. He comes to his shop, he thinks that without these secret sauces it is not katsu, he would never recreate the sauces from his world. It is these sauces that reveal the full taste of katsu. All the people go to the orc, Yamaki's shop remains empty. The worker wants to say something, but Yamaki orders him to be silent. The orc takes off his apron and says it's time to take the next step. He's not going to run this shop alone forever, the profit from one shop isn't that big. For this reason, he named the shop Katsu Orca and spread the name. He will sell others permission to open a business under his brand. With his brand becoming so famous, even the merchant guild is forced to take notice of him, and they will want to purchase the rights to use the brand for a high price. And of course, it doesn't end there, they'll have to buy his secret sauces regularly to keep the shop running. The merchant guild then opened many shops under his brand, supplying them with huge volumes of sauces, and he earned a large sum of money. He earned 10 times more than he did when he worked himself, not that he is against earning money through hard work. Katsu is just one way to make money, he just chose another way to make money fast as his next step. HALF taught him that Landrel, the merchant god. Yamaki's shop and asks them how their business is going, they don't answer, orc passes by, he starts crying. Orc puts all his money on the table. He earned 25 million in 2 months, such a trifle will not satisfy him. With such an amount he can start an even more profitable business, but he uses this money to save her. He comes to a special arena and says that all this was for this day. He sits among the spectators. The annual auction of the Grand Fest begins. The host shouts that the Grand Festa has officially begun. He announces that as always, they have a collection of rare jewels from all over the world every year, and all their guests will have the opportunity to add to their collections today. The orc watches the stage with an impartial eye. They start with a display of black dragon scales. The bets start at 10,000 gil. Hands go up and bid up to 20,000. The orc thinks to himself that it looks like that elf is the only half-human at this auction. He thinks it's good because he doesn't have money for a second one right now. The musicians play the trumpets. The host introduces the audience to the most important product of the day. He is sure that many guests have their eye on it. All the men are watching and waiting impatiently. An elf comes out with an exhausted look. The host introduces them to the beautiful elf, cute face, gorgeous body, healthy 16-year-old girl. There are advantages. They start with 10 million gil, everyone starts offering their prices. The orc raises his hand and offers 20 million right away. Everyone turns to look at him. There's silence, another one names the price of 21 million. The orc confidently shouts 25 million. There's silence again. Orca silently prays, let it all end now. The host asks if that's all, no one answers, after which they start congratulating him and enjoying the cute elf, as expected from the orc master who got rich in 2 months. The orc exhales, but someone from the crowd shouts the price of 30 million. The orc turns around in shock and sees Yamaki. He realizes that he is still angry at him for the failure of his business. He decides that he will have to spend his savings and begins to say the price, but Yamaki immediately interrupts, naming the price of 35 million. The orc now understands what it feels like to be given change. He sits back down in his chair, thinking that this pig might raise his bet even higher. He knows he's lost. The host shouts that they have a winner. The elf has been sold for 35 million. Later, orc sadly leaves. Yamaki follows him and asks who said he could leave like that. He catches up with him and says that now he knows his power, the power of money. The orc continues walking silently. Yamaki says that he has lost his dear elf and offers his condolences, but that he should not worry because he will have a good time with her. He starts shouting at him, how dare he ignore him. He tells him to be a man and accept defeat already. The orc turns to him and smiles. Yamaki, he's even scared. The orc says he admits he's been defeated. He's been too arrogant despite his position. He should have realized he has no chance against a truly rich man like him. Yamaki asks if he now understands his power. He says he knows how to do business. If he falls on his knees and begs him, he will consider letting him serve him. Yamaki leaves laughing. Orc stays put and says that he can enjoy the victory, otherwise he will feel very sorry for him. For soon he will do something terrible to him. Later, Yamaki rides in the carriage and an elf in a steel cage. On the road, the orc himself runs after them, then jumps behind the cart. He quietly enters the cage, breaks the lock, and opens the door. He covers the girl with a blanket, picks her up, and jumps off the cart. He reaches the top of the tree and says that although he didn't mean to commit a crime to save her, he paid for his arrogance, something like that. The elf continues to sleep. He unties her mouth and then frees her hands, saying that it seems she is safe. While sleeping, she makes some noise. Orc continues to look at her. She opens her eyes and looks at each other for a long time, after which Orc smiles at her. The elf asks him where she is. Wasn't she sold to a man? The orc tells her that everything is fine now. He came to save her. She happily starts talking. Did he really save her? Thanks him, but falls silent, feeling his aura of an orc monster. She screams in horror. Could it be that She screams that he is an orc and that it will all happen here. She covers herself and starts to sob. The orc understands that this is the most long-awaited reaction. The orc thinks that although he looks more like a human, the elves are great. It's so easy to see through his true desires. The elf asks for forgiveness and says that she is still a child and that she is not tasty at all, so she asks not to touch her. The orc tells her to calm down. He told her that he came to save her. She asks him why. He says she probably doesn't remember, but their eyes met when she was being transported in a cage. He says that her eyes were asking him for help. She asks if he is a bad orc. He says that he is very bad. He left his village to find first-class girls for his harem. She starts screaming again. He tells her to calm down. He won't touch her because he has a rule. He says he won't touch a girl unless she's happy about it. Then he asks her if she's happy. She asks if she really looks like that. The orc says that then he won't touch her, and besides, if he wanted, he could violate her while she was unconscious. She says he's right. Orc says that he can't create a harem of girls who don't have feelings for him. His mother taught him that. The elf is silent and looks at him with sad eyes. The orc suggests talking about what to do next. They will soon realize that she has disappeared and send a search party. She gets scared. The orc asks her if she can escape from them. She says that they will most likely catch him on the way home. The orc says that it is clear to him, then he will lead her to the village. The elf asks if he is sure. She is quite far away. The orc says that it is not a big deal. The girl asks him why he tries so hard for her. He replies that he wants to create the best harem. If he stays with her until they get to the village, she may well fall in love with him. Then he adds that even if not, it is quite possible that his future wife is waiting for him in her village. One could say that a pass to her village will be his reward. The elf says that now she is confused whether he is a gentleman or what, but she agrees if he promises not to do anything to her. The orc then suggests that they go, the sooner the better. She obeys since he says so. She suddenly begins to say that perhaps it is already too late, but she thanks him for saving her. She bows to him. The orc looks at her with a smile and thinks that she is a good girl. If she wanted, he would have made her the first member of his harem on the spot. The orc asks how about getting to know each other. She agrees and says that it is a good idea. She introduces herself. Her name is Tita. He gives his name and says that he is traveling in search of first-class girls for his harem. They walk together through the field mountains. He says that they have come a long way and offers to have a snack. She agrees and says that she can no longer feel her legs. The orc asks if she can gather some branches since she wants to eat hot food, so she obeys. The orc decides to cook something tasty for her and will try to get closer to her with the help of delicious food. He uses his power, combines his senses with the fairies of the wind. This allows him to see through any space that the wind can penetrate. A hare big enough to cook dinner is found 200 meters away. The orc says that today's main course has been found. He throws a stone from afar. The fairies help him direct the stone, after which the stone hits the hare straight. He looks and thinks how to cook it now. He thinks that just baking it will be boring. He takes out some dark liquid and says it's time for another home recipe. He first removes the skin, takes out the entrails, cleans it with the help of the water fairies, makes a few cuts, coats it with a couple of secret sauces, adds spices to enhance the flavor, then covers it in clay with the help of the earth fairies, and now it's ready. Tita returns and says that she has collected many branches. The orc says that she is a good girl and asks to put them somewhere. The fire fairies get to work. The orc says that they will roast it and it will be ready. The fire lights up, the meat is cooked. Tita tells him that he is truly incredible. He can use not only the wind fairies but the others as well. Orc says that he is surprised that she noticed. He asks if she can see the wind fairies. Tita screams that this is the first time she's seen someone borrow the power of the fairies so calmly. I mean, who wouldn't notice? You have to give it your all to use even one element, and he uses them all. Orc silently thanked the Fairy King for making him a hero. He heard that only gifted elves can use the wind spirit. He guesses that she is one of them, so this is amazing. He checks the meat and says it must be ready by now. He breaks the hardened clay and the Chinese dish beggar's hair is ready. He explains that the clay helps to retain moisture inside, and by coating it with glue, they made the meat even juicier. He asks Tita if she wants to try it and she's already drooling. He holds out the meat and says the drumstick is the best. She takes the drumstick and says, "What a pleasant aroma." The orc tries it and thinks that it turned out well. The spices did their job. Compared to chicken, hare meat has a more refined taste. Even in a big city, you rarely come across such a dish. Tita stays and moans about how much she likes it. She screams that it is delicious and that she has never eaten such deliciousness in her life. She asks to give her more. The orc thinks, sure, let him eat as much as he wants. Tita says it was delicious. The orc asks because one hare is not enough. The fairies tell him something. Orc says, pointing to a basin with water and a towel, that this is hot water. She can dry herself off. He asks maybe she doesn't have time to get enough sleep because they are constantly moving. Tita blushes and obeys him. She undresses and begins to wash herself. She asks if he is really an orc because he is very caring. He replies that he trained to become a caring man for his harem without looking at her at all. He feels like she trusts him more now. Maybe he turned away, but she wouldn't be wiping her body in this situation if she didn't trust him. And that's not all. She's probably still traumatized by the kidnapping, and he's sure she's scared to be alone. Only a vile orc would take advantage of such a situation and attack the girl. Tita looks at him and smiles. He gives her a blanket and tells her to cover herself with it. She panics and says no, she can't take it. He says not to worry because the fire fairy will keep him warm, and besides, he will be on duty at night, so he will not be able to sleep. He explains that he can stay awake for 2 or 3 weeks anyway, thanks to his spiritual energy. Tita tells him that he is so good, she decides to take him up on his offer. She lies down to sleep on the bare ground with a blanket. The orc thinks that she seems exhausted in both body and mind. He thinks that she smiles often, is cheerful, a good girl. The more time they spend together, the more he wants to make her his. He adds that she doesn't have such a gorgeous body. He is only stopped by her reluctance. He doesn't want to lose his future wife because of fleeting pleasure. He continues to sit while she sleeps, saying that holding back when such a beautiful girl is nearby is much more exhausting than staying on night duty. They walk through the forest. The orc asks if the village is nearby. She replies that it is nearby, just a little bit more. They continue on their way. Orc suddenly decides that he needs to go left, and then wonders why he suddenly thought that he needed to go left. Then he tells himself after a while that now it is necessary to go straight. He tenses up and thinks that something is influencing him. He wonders if this is one of those barriers that affects perception. He is always ready to resist magic and illusions. Once he understands the essence, it is easy to protect against it. Tita remembers something and then says that she is surprised that the barrier of the world tree did not affect him. He guesses that this is what affected his mind. She tells him that their village and the forest around it are protected by the barrier of the world tree. It affects the will to prevent penetration deeper into the forest. He is the second one who was able to suppress the influence of this barrier. The orc asks if it is possible to know who was the first. She replies that it was the great sage Merlin and Light. He says that it is clear to him. It is not surprising that he was able to cope with the barrier because he is his student. She asks in surprise how the orc became the student of the great sage. They come up and Orc says that this is the tree of the world. Tita says that their tribe lives next to the tree of the world. They, the tribe of the guardians of the wind, receive protection from it and guard the tree of the world itself and the seal. She explains that if the seal is broken, the end of the world will come. He is surprised. She wishes him well in the village of elves, Titania. As they get closer, Tita boasts that she was named after the village, a privilege reserved only for those gifted enough to harness the power of the wind fairies. The orc says that it looks like someone has come to meet them. She looks at him in surprise. The orc senses hostility. It looks like they are not welcome. He starts screaming and asks the elves to listen to him. He introduces himself. His name is Orc. He saved Tita from the people and brought her to the house, and that he did not come to harm them. Tita is surprised and asks if there is someone there. She screams that Orc is telling the truth and that he saved her. Dark silhouettes emerge from the bushes. An older elf emerges. Tita calls her grandma. She calls Tita a stupid granddaughter and asks why she went beyond the barrier. She asks her for forgiveness. The orc wonders if this could really be a grandmother. She looks less than 30. Elves really do retain their youth for a long time. Granny turns her gaze to him, introduces herself as the leader of this tribe, Tanya, and says that she senses human blood in him. He immediately replies that he is half-orc, half-human. Tanya says that he is a child of two vile races. Tita asks her to stop because he saved her. Tanya says that she sees that he did nothing strange with her granddaughter. There is nothing more for him to do here, so he should leave. Tita shouts that she has not yet thanked him. Are elves the kind of people who would drive away their saviors? The orc thinks to himself that he expected the elves not to be happy to see him, because they are a very cautious race. But Tita is different, so much so that she should be more careful. After Tita's story, Tanya says that it is clear to her that he took care of her granddaughter even better than she imagined. Tanya calls him Mr. Orc, who is immediately surprised that he was respected. He says that he did nothing strange. He would be grateful if they allowed him to enter their village. Tanya looks at him suspiciously and asks to be allowed to ask what his goal is. The orc thinks that now the real battle begins. He understands that if he answers incorrectly, he will be immediately driven away. The orc thinks, then answers that he wants to find himself a wife for his sword about creating a harem. He clenches his fist and says that's why he came here to the elf village where the beauties live, to find an elf who wants him to be with her, who wants to be the mother of his child. He says to himself that he is a polite orc who will not lay a finger on a girl unless she wants it. Tanya's mouth drops open in shock. She asks what he's even talking about and sends him away. Orc sighs, thinking that he couldn't convey to her what a gentleman he is. Tita asks his grandmother to wait. There is something wrong with his head, but he meant what he said. During those 3 days that they traveled together, he never even tried to take her by force. Tanya says that he can stay for 1 day, then he will have to leave. Let it be known that no girl in this village will want to be with him. The orc thanks her. He thinks joyfully that finally he will be able to meet all the local elves. He is sure that among them there will be at least one who wants to be with him. Tita comes up to him and asks if it's not wonderful. Orc says it's all thanks to her. As a token of her gratitude, she will try to give him the warmest welcome. She is glad that he was allowed into their village. She smiles and says that she would not like to part with him like this. Orc thinks, to be honest, he wants to have Tita more than anything, but he cannot awaken in her the desire to be with him. They all enter the village together. All the other elves look at them in shock and shout that it is Tita. They hug, they rejoice, saying how good it is that she is alive and well. They hope that nothing bad happened to them. The orc thinks to himself that it seems that being the granddaughter of the tribe's leader, she holds a high position in the village. He is happy for her. Tita approaches him later and apologizes for keeping him waiting. Orc says her outfit suits her. She says he can stay in the guest room. The orc says he'd like to say hello to her parents. Maybe he'll only be staying for 2 days, but he's still a nuisance to them. He sees that Tita has become sad. He asks what is wrong. She answers that, unfortunately, it won't work. They walk along the corridors and come to a room. A sick woman with a spot on her neck lies in bed. Orc immediately understands that she has contracted some kind of disease. Tita says that she suddenly fell ill a few months ago, and since then she has been lying in bed unconscious in this condition. The orc asks about medicine. She replies that none of the medicinal plants growing within the barrier of the world tree helped her. And when she heard that there might be something outside that would cure her, she went outside the barrier to find medicine and fell into the hands of people. She starts to cry and asks her mother for forgiveness, saying that she has such a useless daughter. Orc looks at all this sadly. The orc asks Tita if he can examine her. She is surprised. The orc immediately says that he knows a little about medicine, from medicine to healing magic. He believes that she can be cured. She remembers and shouts that he is a disciple of the great sage. She asks him to do this. Someone outside delays them. They turn around. Tanya says, "What other orc with knowledge of medicine?" She looks at them disapprovingly. She tells Tita that she trusts this orc too much. It is unknown what he has planned. She will not allow him to touch her daughter. Tita wants to object. Tanya says that Titus' mother is a widow. She dares to suggest that this will not stop an orc from doing something terrible. Tita argues and says that orc is not like that. The orc says that Tanya is right. Tita's mother is a first-class woman. If she wants, they will have a child. Elves look young anyway. And even if a woman has already given birth, this does not diminish her value at all. They are surprised. Orc says that he doesn't even need to touch her. He can examine her with magic. Tanya looks at him in surprise. He holds out his hands and casts a spell, and magic circles appear. With the healing magic taught to him by the great sage Merlin, he can determine her illness, the method of treatment, and even what nutrients she may need. After a while, he reports that the examination is over. He starts looking for something in his backpack, chopping up some herbs. He summons a fairy, which surprises Tanya, asking if he can summon fairies. The orc realized that he needs to mix the medicine with water and give it within an hour. After a while, Orc says that he is done with emergency care. He would like to explain to him what condition she is in. Tita thanks him and says that this is the first time she has seen her mother with such a peaceful face. Tanya asks him if he is really an orc, how he can use the power of fairies. The orc says to forget about him already. He is going to tell about her condition. He decides to be brief and says that he can hardly cure her. Tita asks why, because the medicine worked. You can see it even on her face. The orc says that he doesn't have enough ingredients with him. He can collect them outside the forest, but the treatment will take at least a week. He says with a pained face that he can't do it because he will only stay here for 2 days. Tita asks her grandmother if there is nothing that can be done. Tanya asks how they know the orc is telling the truth. It could be a ploy to stay here longer. Tita asks her why she is so stubborn. Tita screams that then she will carry her mother out of the forest so he will be able to cure her. She will do it right now. Grandmother screams at her. The orc shouts that this will not work because he came to find a girl for his harem, and he only has tomorrow to start looking for her. Tita is embarrassed and then screams that then she will belong to him. If it saves mom, then she wants him to be with him. Orc screams, what kind of tragic reason is this? He would be bad if she agreed to such. She asks him if she's not attractive enough. Orc exhales and then says that it's not that. He says he has a code. The girl must want to be with him with all her heart, otherwise they will both be unhappy. He wants to be like his mom and dad so that not only her body but her heart belongs to him. But he simply cannot abandon Tita's mother. He will not be able to bear it if he leaves her to die. Here Tanya begins to laugh loudly. They look at them in surprise. Tanya says that now she understands. Her vision was clouded by prejudices about orcs. Then he desperately tried to save his life. Tanya bows to him and says that she will believe him, asks him to stay in the village and save her daughter. Tita is surprised that she bowed her head to him. The orc shouts that they can count on him. He will definitely save her. An orc walks through the forest collecting ingredients. Elves and rich nature live hand in hand. The grass cannot be used in this form. He decides to change its properties with magic. He cooks at home with the help of the fairy. He continued to give her medicine every day. Eventually she wakes up, gets up, and recognizes her daughter. Tita rushes to her mother with tears in her eyes. Tanya looks at them with a smile. Tita turns to the orc and hugs him tightly. She thanks him through tears. She thought she would never be able to talk to her mother again. The orc strokes her head. Tita's mother is on the mend. One could say that he has fulfilled his role in this village, but not his goal. And it consists in luring the elven women into his harem. He was right. The elven village is a Klondike of beauties. The elves will become an invaluable contribution to his harem. That is, they should have become. A lonely orc sits in a field and grieves because he could not get close to any of the girls. They all avoided him. They completely ignored him. They didn't even give him the opportunity to try to get closer to them. Tita comes up to him and asks him what's wrong. He replies that he was given a complete dressing down today. He tells her that he talked to every girl in the village, but none of them wanted to be part of his harem. Tita asks if it was because he didn't propose in the right way. Orc admits that he hasn't met a girl who would want to be his yet, but his mother told him that if he becomes strong, girls will stick to him. He wonders if he is not strong enough. Tita says he is strange, but she likes his strange nature. He seriously asks her if she finally wants them to get closer. Tita refuses him, and he suffers again. Tita gives him an apple and tells him to eat it, then relax. The orc thinks about the local food. It's delicious, but too simple. It's either raw or baked. He's sick of it. He suddenly says that he has decided that he will teach everyone how to cook. He will show them what delicious food is and will become popular. He's thinking of working his way into their hearts through their stomachs, and then they'll come running begging for him to be with them. A bit of an unconventional method, but it should work. He's sure it will. Tita happily asks if he's going to cook for them. She can't wait. Orc thinks that Tita is completely captivated by his cooking, and it's only a matter of time before the same thing happens to them. The orc says that he can't cook the same thing as before. He has no right. Tita doesn't understand him at all. He says that if he uses sauces, it will surely turn out to be an incredibly delicious dish, but the elves will not be able to recreate them. Having tasted something so amazing, they will want to try something new. They will forget about the danger and will start approaching human cities. He sadly says that eventually their people will catch them, and he can't let that happen. Tita asks if he's tired of his grandiose way of thinking, and he seriously replies that it's part of him. He wonders if there is any home recipe that only requires ingredients available in this village without using his spices. He remembers something and thinks that it seems to be there. He tells Tita that he will start cooking an orc from another world. He runs after the boar again. The boar is almost crying, but the orc doesn't lag behind him. They are good, big, tasty, and you can find them everywhere. Tita explains that they eat mostly potatoes here. There is plenty of them, and luckily for them, they have sake made from potatoes. Orc says you can use it in place of spices. Boil the sake to get rid of the alcohol in it, add a little honey, and sprinkle some salt to balance the flavor. After this, you will get a fragrant broth. The orc would like to start cooking, but 200 elves live here. This pot is too small. He uses the fairies again and makes a huge pot with the earth. Tita awkwardly says that he, as usual, has no hesitation in using the fairies' power. Orc says that they are useful. The orc asks Tita if she can help bring a lot of firewood, and she happily agrees. The orc picks up a box of food and says that now everything needs to be cut into small pieces. He lifts the box sharply, causing all the food to fly out. He quickly swings his knife, cutting the food into pieces, which obediently fall back into the pot. He says that it seems that his sword skills have not yet dulled. He looks at the ingredients and says that after lightly frying the ingredients, he throws them into the water. Then he adds lots of mushrooms. He would like to use seaweed, but will have to replace it with mushrooms. They add flavor and double the nutrition. Tita comes up and apologizes for taking so long to pack. He says no, she's just in time. They add wood, light a fire, and the soup starts to boil. He carefully skims off the foam and adds the broth he has prepared. Tita says the smell alone makes her hungry. Orc says all that's left is to stir it well and it'll be ready. He says with a smile that this dish is from his homeland, Nikidziaga meat stewed with potatoes. He gives it to Tita to try and asks her to tell him how it turned out. She happily agrees, telling him to trust her. She is a professional at this. She tastes it and says how delicious it is and how delicate it tastes. Orc explains that this method of cooking is called braising, and it is the best way to combine ingredients with strong flavors. Tita tells him that it's amazing and that he can really do anything. She also liked what he cooked last time. Tita asks if she will be able to eat that dish again if she becomes his wife. Orc says she will be able to, but then asks if that is a good enough reason. She laughs and says she was joking. They take the food outside and feed everyone. One elder asks if this was really made by Mr. Orc. The second says it's called Nikidziaga. The third sadly says he threw hot water into it. As soon as they try it, their eyes start shining. They scream how delicious it is. The potatoes are so delicious that they can eat it forever. The orc shouts that he will teach them how to cook it. Now he will show everything in practice. The girls come and thank him for preparing such delicious food for them. They ask him to teach them. While everyone is wondering, a lonely elf guy stands around the corner, and after a haughty look at him, he leaves. Someone starts asking the orc about this broth. The orc thinks that's great. Now they'll move on to his plan. Getting their attention with cooking is done. Increasing their sympathy is also done. Now he directly asks who wants to be with him. Later he stands at the bench with a complete failure. He wonders if being a good cook and being popular was just his imagination. He sometimes thought that it was not so, but still. He says that even Tita has left. He wonders if she has gone home. Maybe he should go back too. Tania comes up to him and says that the feast was fun. Orc agrees and says that he had fun too. He bows his head, smiles, and thinks that even though he didn't achieve his goal, he had a good time. Tania says that he helped not only her daughter, she heard that he responded to the request of one of the villagers and cured him, and even taught them how to cook such delicious food. She thinks that he is a kind and good guy. She asks to allow her to express her gratitude. She says that thanks to him she has learned many lessons. This village is too isolated. If they had doctors they could save many lost lives, and they have nothing to entertain themselves with. If he doesn't mind, they would like to accept him as one of them and ask him to settle here. The orc smiles and says that he will only accept feelings. He came here looking for a wife, and since he failed, he will leave the village as soon as he finishes treating her. Tania says how rude he is. Tania then asks if anyone wants to marry him. A girl comes up to them. They turn to her. Tita stands before them dressed up. Tania says that she wants him to become her husband. Orc looks at Tita in surprise and she smiles with happiness. The orc looks at him in surprise and wonders if Tita really wants to be with him. He is so happy that he starts to blush. Tania says that Tita realized her feelings after spending these few days with him. She wants to stay with him forever. Tita tells him that her grandmother has spoken about her feelings. She sincerely believes that she will be happy with him. She says with red cheeks that she wants to be with him. The orc looks at her sadly and says that it's just for reference, but she didn't do it for him to stay in this village. If she wants to sacrifice herself for the village, then he advises her to think again. She screams that nothing like that. These are her sincere feelings. Orc thinks Tita is a sweet, beautiful, first-class girl. He wants to be with her. Then Tita says she wants him to promise something. There is silence. Tita says that she wants him to look only at her. Orc looks at her in surprise. She bows her head and says that she doesn't want him to have a harem because it's not right. Orc reflects that all this time he did everything to create the best harem. His teachers believe in him. They trained and educated him so that he could achieve his dream. He thinks whether to choose Tita or his dream. He says that he wants to choose Tita, after which he shouts to her that he loves her, but he does not want to give up his dream. He says that this dream is not only his, he cannot betray those who believe in him. Tita freezes in place and says that it is clear to her. Tears start to flow. She asks for forgiveness and runs away from him. The orc freezes in place. Tania shakes her head in disappointment. The orc tells the other elf that it's a little earlier than he expected, but she's now completely healthy. Now she should focus on recovery. He's sure she'll be fine. It is Tita's mother who asks about her. Is she still avoiding him? He replies that he has not seen her for 2 days. Then he adds that he doesn't blame her. You couldn't come up with a worse answer. If you look at it objectively, it immediately becomes clear who's the weird one here. She says that he is very sincere. Most would simply agree and then not be faithful to her. The orc says that this is only a fleeting happiness and he wants to create a harem in which everyone will be happy. She smiles and says she can see he's trying to turn something completely indecent into something decent. She apologizes for her mother's interference, but Tita has fallen in love for the first time, so she wants him to understand her feelings. She thanks him and the orc leaves. Tita is sitting in a field looking at the sky. Orc comes up and says that he has finally found her. She asks him why he came here because she doesn't think he even likes her. He replies that he does and wants to be with her, but as he said, he can't give up on his dream. He says he came to tell her something and she says she doesn't mind listening to him. He says that he has finished treating her mother and no one here wanted to join his harem. He has no reason to stay any longer, so he will leave as soon as he says goodbye to the elder. Tita asks why the rush. Orc says he desperately wants to fulfill his dream, even though it seems strange to her. She asks if that's all. The orc says no and that he will get to the point. He decides that it is time for a rematch. He says that he will create a harem. He asks her if she will go with him despite this. He says that yes, it is a harem and she will most likely not be the only one he falls in love with, but he will love her with all his heart and will do everything to make her happy. She stands up and says that she also wondered if she could continue to love him if she wasn't the only one. Just as she was about to answer, the sky splits open and they freeze in horror. Orc asks Tita if she felt it too. She replies that yes, it is the barrier of the world fading away. The orc realizes that if the barrier was broken, they are in danger. The fact that there is someone capable of such a thing makes the situation even more dangerous, even he could not break it so easily. He tells Tita to stay here. He uses the wind fairies and rushes to the world tree. From afar he sees people, and even armed to the teeth. At this time, the elf in glasses who looked at the orc haughtily stands at the gate of the tree. He says that everyone here is a fool, they do not realize his true significance. Then he says that he let the orc in. He reassures himself that they are not like that, they understand his importance. He dictated the magic that he removed his seal, let him gather his power and awaken, after which he will absorb the tree of the world. He says this to the ancient demon beetle. The orc wonders where the armed detachment came from. Moreover, are they really capable of destroying the barrier of the world tree? He understands that the elves are in danger. There is chaos in the village. The chief shouts for women and children to go to shelter. Men must prepare bows. Tania asks if they have determined who attacked them. They answer that the Abrir in the west was destroyed. They do not know anything about their numbers. An orc runs up to them and tells the elder. Another elf says that they have an emergency situation, so outsiders are not allowed here. The orc casts a spell and says that it is impossible. He shows them a large screen of a large map of the village. This is a map of the village, and it also contains precise information about the location of the intruders and the possible route of their invasion. The orc says that he brought them information. This is their location 3 minutes ago. There are 6 people there. At this rate, they will reach the village in an hour and a half. Tania asks how he knew all this. He replies that it was quite easy. He flew into the sky and used search magic. All the elders say this is nonsense. Does he really think they will believe him that he can use such high-class magic? Tania tells the orc that she is in his debt, but as an elder, she must ask what is on everyone's mind. She asks him if he brought them here. He confidently answers that it is not so. Then she asks if he can prove it. She says it's very difficult to prove he didn't do anything. He replies that he can, because he has no reason to invite them here. A strong energy begins to emanate from him. Everyone gets scared and moves away, asking what kind of magical power this is. He is surrounded by fairies. His power increases. Everyone is even more scared. Tania tells him to stop and that they understand him. She awkwardly says that if he were serious, this village would not have lasted a minute. She asks how she understood that he does not need support. He says he's glad they understand. Tania apologizes for being pushy and asks if he can help them. He says that's what he's going to do. He loves this village and would be happy to help. But he also wanted to ask if they had any idea why they had attacked this village. She said she could guess that they were going to capture them and sell them, and then take the world tree that they were protecting, which people had their eye on for a long time. The orc thinks the forest and its barrier clearly exist to protect the tree of the world. It always seemed to him that for the protection of a small tribe, this is clearly too much. The orc suggests the following. He will attack the armed detachment, and they should focus on strengthening the defense. Tania asks in surprise if he is really going to attack them alone. He replies that he alone is more than enough to deal with some 6 people. Tania awkwardly falls silent. Tanya screams that if he wants a harem, he should save the village, and she will make sure that the girl he likes is with him. She wishes him luck. He runs away. On the way, the orc says that he has to refuse. Suddenly, Tita runs after him and says that she is with him. He asks her if she can handle it. She replies that she is the fastest in the village and will help as much as she can. She asks him why he refused the reward. Isn't this what he dreamed of? After all, he tried to seduce everyone. The orc replies to this that he does not like to force. He would prefer that they be with him of their own free will. Tita says how strange he is. He is kind of indecent, but so reserved in such a strange aspect. He replies that his orc friends said the same thing. She says the same applies to her. If he wanted to own her in exchange for treating his mother, she would refuse. He adds with red cheeks that she likes this side of him. The orc asks if it can be taken as a desire to join his harem. She screams that she didn't say a word about it. The orc notices something and says that enough of this talk. A squad of armed men comes out in front of them. The orc thinks it would be good if they were normal people, but they broke the barrier of the world tree. He just hopes that they are not at the level of his teachers. He calls upon the hero power from the fairy king and shouts to go forward. He silently apologizes because he is not going to hold back. He is racing towards them at high speed. Tita asks if he is using the power of the wind fairies to envelop himself in wind. The orc sternly tells her to stay here. He jumps and shakes the ground, causing many people to fall. He asks who else he is. He doesn't answer and hits the guy with the force of the wind so that he flies away. The orc says that it's self-defense, let them relax. He tried to hold back so that no one would die. The squad begins to attack him in a rage, but he deftly dodges the blows and immediately counterattacks them. Someone shoots an arrow which the orc catches with his hands and shoots back. The archer's horse starts jumping. He falls to the ground. Everyone is down and lying on the ground. Tita yells at Orc that he is amazing because he took them on by himself. The orc says that something is wrong because it was too easy. None of them were strong enough to destroy the barrier, even if they were just mercenaries. With their level, it wouldn't matter whether they were there or not. He realizes that such a detachment would at best only alert the elves. He understands that this is bait and is horrified. He shouts to Tita that they are returning to the village and she obeys. He asks her on the way if there is a well-guarded place in the village that could be left unattended in an emergency. She remembers and shouts that this is the temple of the tree of the world. Usually it is guarded, but in a critical situation the guards will have to leave their post and go to help the village. The orc shouts that it is definitely him and asks what is there. She explains that there is an evil god sealed in that temple. She knows it sounds like a fairy tale, but it is true. Orc says they made them. No one destroyed the barrier from the outside. It's easier to destroy it from the inside. There is a traitor among the villagers. He tells Tita that he will run ahead. She agrees. He runs much faster, thinking that this sounds like a fairy tale. He really hopes that this is someone's invention. But if we take into account the trick placed on the world tree and the barrier protecting it, everything falls into place. If we assume that the evil god from fairy tales exists, they are in for a disaster. He stops abruptly and says that his bad feeling has come true. The village is reeking of dark energy. The orc runs and comes to the temple of the world tree. As he thought, there are no guards here and the door is broken. He hopes that it is not too late. He sees a guy. The orc asks if he broke the seal, since it wasn't the people outside but the elf inside. He asks why he did it. He adjusts his glasses and says that, one might say, with great power comes boredom. The orc is surprised by his words. The elves say that by breaking the seal, he will finally be able to accept his power, and then a new place awaits him where he can start a new life. The orc ponders the phrase about accepting a new place and then suggests that he is talking about a human city or something. The elf wonders how he knows. The orc says it's his smell. The elves who live here have never touched anything from the outside in their lives. They smell like the forest. And this elf smells of spices, perfumes, meat, wine, things that are in human cities but impossible to get here. He is fascinated by human culture. He tenses up and says that he is assigned to buy things for the village. Naturally, he visits the city of people. The orc asks how it is to buy things and says that he has misunderstood his role as an errand boy. The elf gets angry and shouts, "How dare he?" The orc says quite calmly that he is an errand boy with an inferiority complex. When he got to the city, a man approached him and whispered beautiful words to him, after which he became arrogant. The orc would dare to suggest that he was told something like the elven village was strange, so he deserved better. The elf looks down in horror. The orc thinks that it looks like he's hit the nail on the head. Since he has few clues, he had to supplement them with his imagination, but it looks like there's no need to worry about that. The orc remembers that he stared at him when he showed everyone the cooking process. From his point of view, he is just an outsider who somehow blended into the village and is heartily enjoying his stay here, and for him, it is unbearable. He understands that the one who arranged all this is dangerous. He easily saw through the elf, who was unhappy with his village and easily made him betray his own. The elf starts screaming that he is not like that. The orc asks what he is then. He is too self-confident despite his impotence and does not even realize that he is being manipulated. He shouts that he is not being manipulated. Orc says that he will detain him for now and will listen to excuses later. The elf asks if he really thinks a human can catch him. The orc suddenly approaches and says that he is actually an orc. He hits him in the stomach. He falls and groans in pain. The orc tells him to look at himself, looks down on other races, and he himself has developed an inferiority complex in relation to his own. The orc says that later he will force him to say the name of the instigator. He was able to stop the executor, and as for the monster itself, He looks at this dark force. He fears that it is too late. This black thing keeps leaking out. He guesses that only a tenth of it has been released so far. He suddenly runs out of the temple into the street and sees a monster coming out of the ground. He understands that the monster is stronger than him. Liquid pours out of the monster's mouth. The orc understands that it is now attacking him and jumps out, avoiding the attack. Droplets of liquid splashed onto his clothes, causing the material to evaporate. He tenses up because his clothes are made from the skin of a magical beast, their protection strong enough to easily withstand even acid. The monster suddenly and quickly begins to walk towards the tree of the world. The orc screams, does he really want to swallow the tree of the world? He understands that the situation could not be worse. If some monster attacked, the elves could simply abandon their village and run away. But if the world tree is at stake, that is a completely different case. He thinks that the elves are obliged to protect the world tree. In the worst case, they will have to fight to the last. They will all be destroyed. He clenches his fist and realizes that he will have to take this monster on himself. He doubts if he can win. He realizes there is no other way out. He uses his forbidden technique. He raises his other hand and summons his double fairy mark. It doesn't just double the power, the marksmen also reinforce each other. The monster stopped abruptly and turned to him. The orc asks, so he finally saw him as a threat. He even feels pleased, but unfortunately, the monster is too late. In the name of the king of the fairies, he commands them that the fire magic that exists in this world, let it come to him. The monster makes a sound. The orc tells it to burn. The monster in the flames now makes terrible sounds. Only a silhouette remains of it. This is his strongest offensive magic. If it is not enough to kill this, then he will hardly be able to defeat this monster. Suddenly, there is some kind of explosion. He is covered by smoke. The silhouette of the monster regains its shape. The orc understands that this is self-restoration. The orc realizes that it has directed all its energy towards restoring its lost stomach. Tita asks him if he caused that explosion. He says yes, but he needs some time to recover to use it again. You shouldn't count on that power. Tita says that's not what she meant. She heard that he would fight too. He tells him to run. Orc says he will never abandon them. Tita says they are the ones who must protect the world tree. It is a worm that is devouring the world. No matter how strong Orc is, he cannot defeat it. The orc says that everything will be fine and that he will probably think of something. He tells her that if he defeats him, she should run from him because it will not be him. Tita looks at him in surprise. Orc promises that he will not let this monster reach the world tree, after which he speeds up and leaves Tita. Orc doesn't just have the power of the Fairy King's mark, he has another one, sealed away. He was told that if he uses it, he's finished. That's what scares him, but what scares him even more is not using it and watching Tita die. He approaches the monster again, blocks its path and screams. He stops the worm's invasion with his bare hands. A collision occurs. The orc begins to weaken. He understands that he is already at the limit. After training by teachers, he considered himself the strongest in the world, but reality opened his eyes. He starts to wonder why he got into all this. He's just a guy who got rejected. The monster screams. Orc starts saying that she has a very sweet smile, and even if he couldn't be with her, she will live, probably because he wants her to smile. He introduces Tita and says that he is amazed at himself. He is risking his life for this. He turns to his father in his mind and says that he will remove the seal. The sealed power of the evolving orc, he will remove the second seal. If the second seal is ever removed, he is almost certain that he will not be able to return. He turns to his mother and says that in order to defeat the monster, he will have to become one too. He remembers his mother's words when he wants to protect something dear to him, but can't do anything, then let him free her and return thanks to the miracle of love. The orc regretfully wonders if unrequited love will do. The monster devours the orc. Tita screams in horror. All the people froze. Tita begins to sob bitterly. She will regret this all her life. She should have told him about her feelings. Tita couldn't bring herself to accept the orc's idea of a harem. She wanted to be the only one for him. The elves around her could not find the words to speak to her. Tita realized that she loved him with all her heart. Her love ended in the worst possible way. Tania grits her teeth, then gives everyone the command to prepare their arrows and then orders them to shoot. Everyone starts shooting at the monster. Tania understands that he is impenetrable. It is useless. They can't do anything. Suddenly the monster starts screaming like crazy. Everyone watches him in surprise. a huge hand of another monster comes out of the monster's stomach. The worm bursts from the inside, an orc monster with huge fangs and a terrifying appearance appears. Tanya asks in horror what it is. In a rage, the orc begins to beat the worm. The worm continues to scream and make its sounds. The orc destroys the monster and tears it apart. The elves tremble and fall in fear. Tanya watches what is happening with great horror. The orc defeats the monster, after which he roars throughout the forest. Words flash through his head that everything irritates him. He is hot. He wants death, destruction. He thinks that if they don't disappear, he will make them disappear himself. He runs to the world tree and swings his fist at it. The elves freeze in fear. The orc stops abruptly, thinking that this won't do because it will upset her. He strikes to the side. There are two sides fighting inside him. One doesn't understand who he's even talking about. The other says it's better this way, then she'll smile. The monster screams that he doesn't care. He still wants to destroy everything. He walks away from the world tree. He feels this heat. He needs to do something that will suppress his rage. Suddenly he feels something. He turns around and sees Tita. She shouts at him, asking he is an orc after all. He goes further, thinking that she is too small. She will not go. Tita asks him to answer. He said that he would defeat him, but it would not be him because he would turn into this monster. She asks through sobs why he had to use that power then, even after she said she hated his idea of a harem and wouldn't be with him. The monster doesn't understand why these little drops of tears calm him down. He understands that he wants her to live and smile. That's why he used this power. Tedu knocks on his hooves and asks him to come back. If he becomes the same, she promises to give him everything. She says tearfully that she will be with him as he wanted. He suddenly remembers her name, Tita, and then remembers that he is an orc. He immediately restores the seal, rather while he is still conscious. He does not want her to cry anymore, so he must erase her tears now and grant her wish. Suddenly, he raises his hands and happily wonders how he can make Tita disappear if he is going to be with her. Tita looks at her in surprise. The elves are embarrassed and laugh awkwardly, and only Tanya laughs out loud. The orc returns to his normal form and says that he is ready to fall through the ground. How ashamed he is. Tita closes her eyes and then hugs him with a kiss. Orc continues to stand in place with his eyes open in surprise. He wakes up in bed, groaning. Restoring the seal had exhausted him. The strain on his body had been so great that he had slept for 3 days and 3 nights and still had not recovered. Tita comes up to him and says that the food is ready. She feeds him with a spoon and says that it is elven porridge. He says that it is delicious. She blows on the food and says it's good, thanks to his advice. To her surprise, it turned out quite well. When Tita said that he could love her, he would gladly do it right there and then, but he is not able to, and this test continues to this day. The orc asks if she really doesn't mind. Didn't she say she wanted to be the only one? She replies that she did, but then she realized that it would be better to be in his harem than to break up with him. Besides, he even risked his life for her. Then she says that no one ever loves her as much as he does. He thinks how sweet it is. She is so sweet that it shows in everything. He does not understand why his body does not move. He tells himself to move, to stir. He is already begging himself to move right now. He suddenly jumps out of his clothes and says that suddenly his body started moving. What a miracle. He tells her that he wants to do it now. When Tita is so sweet, he can't help himself. She agrees. She says she will forgive him for the many girls, but he should get ready because she will make him go crazy over her. Moreover, he went crazy so much that he didn't think about other girls, so let him be ready. The orc thinks about her long elven ears. He has dreamed of touching them since childhood. He suggests enjoying each other to the fullest. This became his first step towards creating a harem. Tita is sleeping. Orc is cooking something. She wakes up and says that she smells nice. He comes to her with cups and wishes her good morning, after which he asks if she is feeling better. She says better and that he was just so incredible that she passed out. He tells her to drink coffee. They drink coffee together in bed, the orc especially enjoying his morning cup of coffee. She asks if it is coffee, the bittersweet taste waking her up. The orc says that since there are no coffee beans anywhere on the continent, he had to create them using magic and a little chemistry. He says it's aesthetically pleasing. Someone suggests going to the lake. Another says that it would be very useful, considering that they are both dirty. They swim in the lake. Tita says that his look is very frightening and warns that it is enough for today. He says with a smile that he is a gentleman, he will not pounce on her now under any circumstances. He thinks the view of the beautiful lake and the beautiful elf is amazing. He thinks it's a masterpiece, except for one thing. He looks at the worm's corpse, its foul smell still lingering in the forest. He hears a little of what happened next. The one who broke the seal was killed by the elves. He was poisoned with a slow-acting poison, and it looks like he would have died regardless of whether he broke the seal or not. He was silenced. Those who manipulated him are extremely careful. They walk past the destruction. The elves look at everything. One asks what is there. The second answers that it is bad and that this field is also useless. Orc and Tita hear that it will take a long time to restore the village. The other says that it is terrible. The pink slime of the demon beetle is eating away at the soil. The elders are now deciding what to do, but if things remain as they are, they will not survive the winter. The orc muses that if he could just supply what they need, the proud elves won't like this charity, but there is a way. It will be a good reason for them not to refuse. Orc tells Tita he has an idea. She asks if he has come up with a way to help them. He asks if she can take him to the elder so they can discuss something. Tanya asks if he really wants to support the village. He replies that he wants to help with its restoration. In addition, he wants to offer food support for the winter. Tanya says that is true. The demon beetle destroyed their fields and they have no food reserves. She says that they cannot accept his offer because they have pride. The orc expected them to refuse him, considering that elves are a proud race. He explains that it is natural to help his wife's family. Pride is important too, but is it right to let the villagers die? Tanya says that they will move forward and somehow manage. The orc says he doesn't think it will be easy, considering there will be sick and wounded in the village. Tanya says that caring for the sick will be an additional burden. It will be a vicious circle. Tanya admits that they have nothing to repay him with. Orc thinks it would be easy to just say and accept it as thanks for Tita becoming his wife, but he won't do that. They have this relationship because they love each other. As soon as he says something so hypocritical, everything will become a lie. The orc tells them that if they want to thank him so much, there is one option. He says that he wants the bug's corpse for the demons. Tanya and Tita look at him in shock and confusion. Tanya replies that she doesn't mind, but why? He knows that it secretes a poisonous mucus that corrodes everything. He says that he will find a use for it. The orc says it's amazing. He'll make 10 times what he spent on food on it. Tanya looks at the others. They nod. She tells Orc that she leaves this to him, so the elven village will be safe. The orc asks them not to bow because it is an equal exchange. He says that he will quickly deal with the corpse, and as a special favor, he will clean everything for free. They go to the field. The man tries to clean everything. He says bitterly that his field can no longer be saved. Tita says that it will be harder to restore everything than she thought. Orc agrees and says that is why he is here. He summons the water fairies. Tita asks what he's doing. He'll spread the slime everywhere. The orc calmly tells him to take a closer look. He says that this is pure water. It cannot be spilled or polluted. If you keep the mucus in this shell, it will not corrode anything else. After that, he calls the fairies of the earth. A huge hole appears in the ground. All the drops fly straight there. Orc says that they finished clearing the slime. Tita says that Orc is as carefree as ever. The man starts crying and thanking, clinging to the orc. The orc and Tita smile. Then the orc looks at the monster's corpse and suggests Tita deal with it. She asks if it's true that they'll give money for it. He says that his skin is incredible. Even his full-on fire magic released through his hero power couldn't burn it completely. If you consider it as armor, it's the best material in the world. He gives her a sword and asks her to try to cut it. She takes the sword and obeys him, cutting the corpse. She screams that this can't be. The sword couldn't cut her. The orc tells her that the blow was quite good. The orc asks if she now understands how valuable she is, that she will not only help feed all the elves but also make money. She asks how he plans to process her. He replies that he will use something far better than anything else, a cane with a blade given to him by Merlin and Light in honor of his graduation. The orc holds a cane and causes an infusion of magic. All the forces are gathered in this weapon. Tita says in surprise that this cannot be. The orc says that only this weapon can withstand his power. He sticks the knife in. The monster's corpse splits into pieces. Tita continues to watch. The pieces fall into place one by one. Orc says, well, that's how it is. Now they won't have to worry about armor materials for the rest of their lives. Tita sighs and says that he won't surprise her with anything anymore. The orc says the fire-resistant skin has been removed, now he will end it, he uses purgatory, everything is cleansed. The orc says with a smile that he is done, he has destroyed the remains of the demon beetle, he can sell the skin and buy some food. Tita says that although it is a bit late to talk about it now, but since he has sorted everything out, it is not too late to start plowing. The orc says smugly that it would be a shame to waste the good stuff since there is so much of it, so he will give some of the money to her. He notices something, he sees a cane that is missing half. He looks at the ground and sees the other half. Tita waits for his reaction, he quietly and calmly says that he has broken down, and then he starts screaming loudly in panic. He says that the gift from the teacher on the occasion of graduation is one of a kind. Tita asks him to be careful. He realizes he overloaded it when he plunged the blade into the demon beetle's flesh, the corrosive slime making it brittle. He screams, how can he look his teacher in the eye now? Tita asks if there is no way to restore him, he can do everything, can't he? He replies that he can't. He tells that it is made of orichalcum and only a few special families have it. The teacher could use his incredible magic to create a loophole and get it, but it is beyond his power. After a silence, he awkwardly says that he is still inferior to his teachers. It hurts him so much to lose the best blade in the world. He didn't use it the way he should have, he could have probably cast a boosting spell beforehand. He wonders if he got a little carried away because he was treated like a hero, and he won't be able to forgive himself. Tita calls him, hugs his hand, and tells him to cheer up, she will treat him to an elven dish. The orc smiles and asks if she is talking about baked vegetables, she says she can't deny it. He tells Tita that he will restore it with his own strength, so that's a start, after which he calls Tita to pack his things. He understands that he is still inexperienced, so there is still a chance. At the Tree of the World, everyone gathered to see the orc off. Tania thanks him for everything he has done for them. The village refuses to accept strangers, but they are always glad to see him. Orc replies that it is mutual, living here has become a pleasant experience for him. Tita's mother tells her to drop in on them from time to time. She says that she will definitely drop in to visit them. Tania thanks him again and says that her granddaughter is lucky. After that, everyone bows to them. On the way, the orc reflects that he is glad that he came to this village. He met Tita and they got married, but he cannot stop here. He needs to become better and stronger to make his harem bigger. Tita tells him that she hopes he never meets another girl since she still hates harems. Orc says that he is glad that Tita is so understanding. They walk around the city. Tita happily says that human cities are so lively. She didn't see all this because when she was captured, she was kept in a cage the whole time. The orc says that now that she wears these earrings that he made for her, everything will be fine. With this magical cognitive distortion tool, those around her see her as an ordinary person. Tita says that it's all thanks to him. Orc suggests walking around the city. They are in a trading shop. Orc asks to see one comb. The seller tells him that he has good taste. It is made to order. Tita looks at the comb with flowers and stones and is happy. The orc says that it is a gift for her. She says that she is very pleased, but it is expensive. The orc tells her not to think about it. He can afford it. A man planning to create a harem would never allow his wives to worry about money. Eventually, over time, he will have more wives and children, but he can earn as much as he needs so he can create a harem. How glad he is that he was taught by the god of merchants. He is not going to buy happiness with money, but the truth is that you can forget about a quiet life if you do not have enough money. He says that people have created so many wonderful things, but to experience them all you have to pay a price, and he also wants Tita to have fun. He doesn't just want to live life, he wants to enjoy life. Tita tells him that's great, then she takes him at his word. Tita says that she doesn't want to be a freeloader. She wants him to tell her when he needs her help to earn money. He agrees. Tita's potential in business is also very good, and she will stand out in the city due to her attractive appearance. Oddly enough, merchants care a lot about their appearance. Sadly for people, appearance is more important than what's inside. The more beautiful the girl, the more likely she will be trusted, so the best merchants develop their taste and dress even better. After a year or so of training, she will become his assistant. Maybe after about 3 years, she will be able to call herself his right hand. They pass by a shop and stop. Tita asks what he is buying. He answers that it is a staff and that there is a good selection here. He thinks that none of them can replace the cane that his teacher gave him, because its magical power is so great that no staff can withstand its full force without breaking. The seller rudely asks if he even knows how much they cost. A kid like him can't afford something like that. The orc dumps all the gold on the table, making the seller's pupils dilate. He counts and says that there are 20 million gil. He asks if he is from the royal family. The orc thinks that the money from the katsu continues to come in. The orc picks out one staff and says it's a good thing. It's made of magic-sensitive foiled wood that's been growing in the soil of a dragon's vein for 100 years. It will withstand 1 or 2 uses of his full power. He thinks that, however, it is very far from the quality of orichalcum from which the teacher's staff is made. The orc notices a sign on the wall with an oracle sword. He asks the seller what it is. He turns and thinks. The seller says that the entire blacksmith guild is talking about it. The oracle sword is complete and all, even though the hero hasn't been found yet. The orc smiles. The oracle's sword is a mev given to the hero by God. The Divine Steel clan is a chosen clan and a special priestess of the sword from this clan, who received a revelation from above and united it with orichalcum. The priestess then plunged it into the sacred stone on holy ground. Only a hero could pull out the oracle's sword. Orc tells Tita that he has decided where they will go next. She asks if he is really going to pull out the sword. He says with a smile that yes, he is a hero. Even though he hides this fact, he can pull out this sword. He says that if the oracle's sword is made of the same material as the teacher's staff, it will withstand his power. Suddenly he hears the men talking about how the priestess of the sword is a real beauty, and generally speaking that the clan of Divine Steel is full of beauties. Tita notices Orc's strange behavior. The orc shouts madly at Tita to go forward. If it is really about the sacred sword, then he already has one. Now they will go look for a sheath for it. Tita says that this is not funny at all. The orc shouts to the priestess of the sword to wait for him. Right now her betrothed is coming to her. The orc says that here they have arrived, the holy land where the sacred sword is located and the clan of Divine Steel lives. This mountain is the only place in the world where orichalcum can be mined, and there is also a city at the foot of the mountain. The oracle's sword waits quietly in the depths of the impassable holy land, waiting for a hero to come and take it, or so he thought. A crowd of men want to pull out the sword. Someone shouts that this is the end of the line for the sacred sword. Will anyone be able to pull out the sacred sword? The wait in line will only be 6 hours. The street is full of merchants. This place has become a tourist attraction. As it turns out, there is always a crowd in front of the stone with the sacred sword. Although it is forbidden to enter inside, anyone can enter the outer courtyard. In the fight for the sacred sword, the huge muscle man couldn't pull it out. The caretaker calls the next one. The orc says in disappointment that this is the oracle's sword. Tita asks what he will do. He didn't know that such a mess was going on here. He didn't even want a stand in this line, but he still agreed to the current conditions. Tita eats. Orc says that the manju of the sacred sword is delicious. They earn money on the fact that it may soon get cold. Tita asks him if he likes to discuss business. He doesn't need to wait in line. He decides to go when everyone gets tired of it. If he wants, he will give some of them money and take their place, but he will just enjoy his date with Tita. He offers her to try the sacred mechayaki. Suddenly someone from behind pushes Tita and she falls. Tita asks if she is okay. She says she is. Orc apologizes for being inattentive. The stranger addresses Tita as an elf and asks for forgiveness for running into her. She holds out her hands and says that she is also to blame. The orc freezes and then asks if she just called her an elf. How did she know Tita was an elf? Tita wears special earrings that he made for her. Could an ordinary person really see through the high-class magic that they contain? The stranger asks if they were trying to hide it. The orc asks if she can see what he is. She starts thinking and answers that it is not quite so if you look closely at his soul. As soon as she sees that he is an orc, she starts screaming. The orc tells her that she is reacting like Tita. She runs away from him in a panic. He catches up with her in seconds, notices her speed, and asks if she is a beastman. She screams how he caught up with her. He replies that it is because he is faster. She screams to her mom and dad in heaven and asks them for forgiveness. Orc tells her that he will not attack her. He tells her that he won't do it, so she should stop. She shouts that all criminals say that. Orc agrees, and she is indignant that he doesn't even deny it. The orc says that it's not that, it's just that it would be dangerous to run any further. He stops abruptly at the edge of the cliff and the girl falls down. The orc manages to catch her by the hand, the girl's cloak falls off, the orc pulls her to the surface. She breathes heavily and says that she thought she would die, but the orc saved her. Now he understands it is no wonder that she saw who they really are. Foxes with ears and fluffy tails living in the Holy Land, the Divine Steel clan, they are half human, half fox. The orc introduces himself and gives his name. She says her name is Kururu. He says he is glad she was not hurt. He says that if she died, she would not be able to become part of his harem. She screams in panic, so he is still a criminal. Orc notices the fire fairies. Kururu likes the fire fairies of the Divine Steel clan. They are so attached, she must be exceptional even among her clan. He wonders if she is the priestess who forged the oracle sword. Besides, she is so cute, according to Orc. The orc unexpectedly met her, a resident of the Holy Land and a representative of the Divine Steel clan, half human, half fox, a girl with a fluffy tail and fox ears. He says that Kururu is a fox. She is surprised. Orc says that he would like to ask if she would like to join his harem. She refuses. Does he not understand that they met for the first time? Orc is rejected as usual. Tita runs up to them and says that they are so fast that she barely caught up with them. Orc apologizes and says that he should have picked her up when he ran. Tita asks him if he was bothering her. He was going to do it with his beloved in his arms. He confidently answers that that is what he wanted. Kururu asks if she is his lover. She smiles and says that is absolutely true. She asks why he is acting like this if he already has a girlfriend. First of all, doesn't it make Tita angry? The orc asks if he didn't say he wanted to create a harem. There's nothing strange about a harem having many girls. Tita tells her that although it's annoying, she became the orc's lover, fully aware that he intended to create a harem. Kururu says that she doesn't understand them and then says goodbye. Orc also says goodbye to her. Finally, she turns to them. She asks him if it is possible that he is going to pull out the oracle's sword. He replies that it is so. Then Kururu says that he shouldn't do this. Does he understand this? And then silently leaves. Tita asks what she was trying to say. Orc says that he is sure that she would not have said something like that just like that. After all, she is from the clan of Divine Steel, and most likely she is the priestess who forged the oracle's sword. Tita asks him if it's okay that they broke up so quickly. Orc replies that no matter how much he tries to convince her, it's useless now. Besides, he would never give up on a girl he already had his eye on so easily. He would gather information about Kururu and devise a plan to make her fall in love with him. After all, I have a weakness for fox ears. He was already planning to lure a girl with fox ears into his harem and enjoy her fluffy tail to his heart's content. Tita asks him suspiciously what he is thinking about. He replies that it is nothing and suggests returning to the city and drawing the oracle's sword. They come back and see the line again. Tita says the line is still too long. Orc says there are too many interested people. He approaches the man, gives him gold, and says that he saved a place for him, after which he thanks him. He calls Tita to the line and says that he is here, he took his place. She asks if this is normal, isn't it unfair? He says nothing of the sort. He paid him a tidy sum, he's happy, and they're happy because they took his place. It's a win-win. Tita says he's incredible as always. Tita tells him he's next. Orc realizes the time limit is 30 seconds. The leader shouts to the previous one that time is up. The orc says that he will quickly pull him out and they will go back. Suddenly someone comes up. They all shout that it can't be. Mr. Levin is coming here. Orc asks what is going on. This Levin comes up and introduces himself as the Knight of the White Rose. He asks if there are any who do not know the two names given to him by His Highness. The crowd cheers and shouts. He first entered the battlefield during the Maria Luna War, and since then he has been in countless battles. He is the strongest knight of this era. Orc and Tita just stare at him blankly. The crowd keeps shouting that he has this power, good looks, everything a hero needs. Orc says it's his turn. Another says the kingdom is more important, so shut up. The knight smacks the sword and says that he has been calling him all this time. Then he asks the sword for forgiveness for making him wait. Orc and Tita look on with disgust because the knight is a narcissist to the core. The host invites everyone to watch what Mr. Levin, the Knight of the White Rose, will show. The knight turns to the sacred sword and tells him to go to it, for he is a hero. He calmly pulls, but he can't. After that he tries harder and with a terrible face tries to pull it out. The host says that time is up. The crowd screams in horror that this can't be. Tita smiles and says he's funny. Orc says he's a hero, but in a different way. The knight becomes sad that he is not the chosen one. At this time, an orc comes and asks the leader if he can try. He is told to do what he wants. He easily pulls out the sword, lifts it up, and tells Tita that he pulled it out. Now they will go. Tita agrees and says that today they will have lunch at the inn and it will be a local dish. She can't wait. They leave, saying that the local dishes are really tasty. The whole crowd runs after him and asks him to wait a minute. Orc foresaw this. They ask who the hell he is. A country bumpkin like him can't be a hero, or says that even if they say so. The knight comes up and says that everything is clear to him. Now he understands. He states that when he tried to pull him out, he almost succeeded. Because he was already weakly holding on, the orc was able to pull him out. He is sure that this is how it was. The orc asks him if he is sure that everything is okay. The whole crowd is screaming that he is a fake hero. Orc says how much noise they are making. Someone says that if he is real, he will fight for humanity. A stranger comes out of the shadows and suggests doing the following. The man says that this guy and the Knight of the White Rose should fight in a duel. If he is really a hero, then he will win. If not, then he was just lucky to draw the sword. The orc asks him who he is. The soldiers say that this is amazing. It is a great offer, as expected from the commander. The orc tells them that he refuses. The knight asks him why not. With this sword he will prove that he is a hero. The orc screams, what does he gain from this? He pulled out the sword and now it belongs to him. He says that he is leaving. They shout at him to stop and that it is also beneficial for him. If he wins, he will receive a reward. He asks for more details. They say they will give gold. The orc says that this is too little. He will risk his life in this duel, so he asks for more. They keep raising the stakes. Orc keeps asking for more. He's not going to go with the flow in these situations. He switches his mindset to business. The style of negotiations changes depending on who you are negotiating with. If you are talking about a traitor, he is just trying to prove his case. In negotiations, it is not important to win or lose. It is important to make him surrender. But now he has soldiers in front of him, so he doesn't know what they want. If he continues to press, they will simply retreat, and he doesn't care at all if these negotiations fail. The soldiers offer a sum. The orc sees the reaction and understands that he cannot offer more. He says he agrees. The soldiers shout that this is excellent, and that they have agreed that in a few days they will have a duel. Tita tells him that for some reason it has become a problem. Orc says that it is nothing to worry about. She asks if the knight is strong. Tita asks if he is not strong as a man. He explains that if you measure his strength in ordinary soldiers, it is equal to about 100. He is equal to about 10,000. The orc says that getting a reward for a minute duel wouldn't be so bad. Tita asks how he knows. Did they mention a time limit? They leave. Orc says he'll only have a minute to do it. Suddenly the crowd gathers again. Kururu shouts to let her go and that she must break this sword. The soldiers shout to stop the sword priestess. The orc recognizes her. She keeps screaming that she must destroy this fake. It will stain history and the pride of their mothers. He wonders if this sword is a fake. The orc tells her that they have met again. Kururu starts screaming that he is an orc, but he manages to cover her mouth. The orc asks the soldier to let her go. He wants to object, but the orc says that everything is fine. Kururu notices the sword in the orc's hand. She asks if he really pulled it out. He replies that it is true. It is the oracle sword she forged. He asks her if they could talk in private, since she needs the sword. She starts talking in panic about how it is to be alone with an orc. She babbles that she must destroy the sword, but if she goes with him, he will use it, then she will not be able to marry. She turns to her mother again and says that for the honor of the Kururu clan, she agrees, but she is afraid why this had to happen to her. The orc thinks that her nightmare delusions have no end. Orc says that if she is so scared, Tita can come with them. Tita agrees, saying that it is a good idea. She gets even more scared. Could it really be three of us? Who would have thought that her first time would be like this? Later at the hotel, Orc asks her to drink something hot and calm down. She screams that it is poison and that such substances do not exist, do they? Tita turns to Kururu and asks him to calm down first. The orc will not touch the girl if she does not want it. The orc confirms and says that this is his motto. He explains that he won't touch a girl he doesn't like. He liked her at first sight. He won't touch her until she reciprocates. Kururu asks him not to look at her like that. If you look closely, she thinks that he is very good looking. If you think about it, she has never talked to a guy in her entire life. She says that the pocket watch belonged to a master craftsman from Ruzelbuck, and the elf's comb is of the finest jade, beautiful, rich, and strong. Perhaps one can close one's eyes to the fact that he is an orc. The orc says that she is surprisingly strong-willed and observant. He puts the sword on the floor and says that she wanted to destroy this sword. It was such a waste of time. He understands how she feels. Kururu asks why he said that, and he replies that there are several reasons for that. He says that his mother is a hero of the Azure Thunder, so he saw the Oracle sword since childhood compared to his mother's sword. Hers is an order of magnitude worse. She asks if he is really the son of a hero. He doesn't understand, and her sword is also an order of magnitude worse. Does he really understand what she was talking about this sword? He takes a sword out of his backpack, hands it to her, and says that he forged this sword. His mentor taught him alchemy, and he made it. The material used was magic silver, which is definitely an order of magnitude worse than orichalcum, but in terms of the sword's finish it is better. Kururu wants to say something, but then just hangs his head sadly. The orc says that her sword is great in terms of how she infused and extracted magical energy from the metal. It is better in that, but the difference is in the abilities, which is what he assumes. Kururu says that she understands what he means. He really does understand this, and she admits it. Orc says that his sword is better only because he knows more than her. Her sword is worse than her mother's oracle sword because she lacks the necessary knowledge and cheats by imitating its shape without knowing it. Technically, it is flawless, but she lacks the knowledge. She says that, in other words, another year or two of training and she would be able to forge a sword that would be worthy of being called an oracle's sword. No, most likely even better. The orc tells her that she is still learning, then asks why she was in such a hurry to forge it. She is silent and then says that her mother, who was her mentor, was killed. Now she is the only priestess of the sword. The orc notices the weapon in her hand. It is an orichalcum hammer, the best orichalcum hammer in the world. She says that she was just learning from her mother, but the higher-ups said that the oracle sword was needed. She tried, but in the end it was an unfinished sword. She didn't think that this failed sword would leave the walls of the workshop, but they took it away, saying that it would do. She suddenly picks up the hammer and screams that she is therefore forced to destroy it. She swings and hits the sword itself, to the surprise of Tita and Orc. However, the sword remains in its original form without any changes. She asks how that is possible. It is an orichalcum hammer. The sword should have shattered into pieces. The orc says that she simply swung the hammer for so long that it filled the sword with magic. She screams that this can't be. He strengthened the sword by filling it with magic. Even if it's a top-class spell, it's impossible. She asks in surprise what kind of orc he is. He asks her she doesn't want to destroy him. She is surprised. The orc explains that the world saw the imitation she created, and it tarnished the reputation of her mother and ancestors, a decision that was driven by his tragic determination. He is confident that she will be happy not with the humiliation of this sword, but with the creation of a full-fledged oracle sword. Kururu says that since she is unable to do this, it haunts her. The orc repeats that she lacks knowledge, but he has it. He says that his knowledge is not enough to forge the orichalcum. He offers her to join forces. He says that then they will be able to forge an oracle sword that will not bring shame on the Divine Steel clan. He offers to forge a sword for the two of them. She agrees. The orc adds that they will cut their wedding cake. She immediately says that she has no idea what he is talking about. The orc shouts that anyway, after work they can go and relax together to strengthen their harem relationship. The oracle sword will be the reason she will love him. Tita and Kururu look at him like he's crazy. Tita turns to the other and explains that even though he says that, she doesn't have to worry, her body is safe. She understands that it's hard to believe, but he keeps his word. Kururu says that it's clear to her, that's why he tries to keep quiet. The orc asks her if she likes him now, and she sharply replies that she doesn't like him at all. The orc asks to wait a minute, he will print everything. They ask what he will print. The orc says that one look at this oracle sword is enough to understand what knowledge Kururu lacks, and so he decided to make a book. Kururu asks how long it will take. He quickly prints everything out with magic and hands the papers to Kururu. Kururu says that when she saw what he did with the sword, she was convinced that he really does have a powerful imagination. It's almost scary. She asks what kind of training he had. He says that he had the best teachers and environment, and talent, and perhaps motivation also played a role. The orc says that first she must learn all of this, then he will begin to teach her. She happily says that from just one page it is clear that this is exactly the knowledge she was lacking, and it is worth its weight in gold. She thanks him for showing her something so valuable, and he says that she will soon become part of his harem. She sternly says that it won't come to that, it must have been surprisingly easy to pull off. The orc says that Kururu has the final say, and even if she doesn't join his harem, he will use the sword she is about to forge. She says that he can be sure of that. If she can create a sword that surpasses the one her mother made, she won't want to show it off, she wants it to be used, another way for a blacksmith to show off his skills. Kururu says that she couldn't think of a way to thank him, it was bothering her. Orc starts talking again. If she doesn't know how to thank him, then how about entering his harem and being with him? She immediately refuses. She says it bothers her, so she'll let him lie on her tail. The orc immediately bows at her feet and asks her to take care of him. She wonders why he knelt down. He thinks that the tail is a pillow for him. It's just super to stroke this fluffy tail from the heart. Nothing more divine comes to mind. The orc asks if he can try not only lying on his tail but also rubbing against it. She says no way. He is afraid to imagine what else he will come up with if she agrees. She is already shaking nonstop. He leaves, telling her to study the contents. He has enough study material for another 500 pages. He decides to cut down a couple of trees to make some leaves. He calls Tita to pick them up. He happily thinks that the tail is a pillow for him. It's like a dream. Who would have thought that his childhood dream would come true? Now no one can stop him. Tita looks at him disappointedly and asks what it was. For some reason she thought it was written on his face that no one would stop him. He denies it and says that he suddenly felt like his leg was tied. He says that he is attached to his beloved. Tita screams that it didn't sound cool at all. Not only did he decide to hit on someone else, he also irritates her for no reason. He asks if she is against Kururu joining the harem. She replies that she is not. She likes Kururu and seems like a good girl. She also wants to help her. This pleases the orc. She wants to say something, but the orc looks out the window and thinks that the soldiers are watching him so that he does not escape from the duel. He turns to Titus and says that Kururu's entry into the harem will not change his feelings for her. He will love them with all his heart. Such is the way of the orc. He holds Tita's hand and they fly out of the window. Harems are not that simple. Everyone in a harem must get along. Kururu and Tita's friendship is also important. The path to the harem is thorny, but he still won't give up. He printed out a complete book with blacksmithing and alchemy intermediate course. Kururu reads it enthusiastically. The orc tells her that it is already morning. He asks her if he is okay after a sleepless night. She sighs and says that she can hold back. His book is just incredible. How will she be able to sleep if she reads such a good book? The orc smiles and says that if she likes her so much, then so be it. If you look closely, she uses internal energy unconsciously, in which case nothing will happen to her even if she stays up all night, and she memorizes alchemical techniques just like that. He wonders if she is a genius. He says that it's time for him to go, and she remembers that he has a duel with that night. She immediately stands up, blocks the way, and says that she will go too. He asks if she really wants to cheer for him. She says that if he sees him in battle, it will tell her what kind of sword to forge for him. He offers to wake Tita. She asks if she is needed for something specific. He answers that he wants to brag to his beloved. She says that he is a good lover, betrays her right before her eyes. He says that it is not so, he just wants to love Kururu while loving Tita. She says that she assumes that she will become his lover. What will happen if a beautiful girl passes by him? He says that this is a strange question. He replies that he will propose to her in front of them. She says that he really is a really bad person. He says that this is his way as an orc. He understands that he is shameless, but he wants to be sensible and not hide anything. They both go. Tita says that it's good that they want to take them, but aren't there too many of them, these soldiers? The orc says that it's so that he doesn't escape. They are, so to speak, being taken there. They approach the arena. They are surprised. The orc asks why turn this all into an attraction. They say that people also place bets. White Rose is incredibly popular. It has crazy odds. The orc gives a bag of gold to Kururu and tells her to bet it all on him. She says that it is not very nice of him. He notices the girls running towards the knight. The orc says that he still has a reward waiting for him. the knight tells him that he didn't run away after all. He says with a smile that he can't believe he agreed to come and publicly embarrass himself for a few coins. The orc thinks he's starting to like him. He's really admiring how much he's accomplished. At this time, Tita begins to get offended and angry and then tells the knight not to be arrogant because the orc is strong. The knight sees Tita and is surprised. He immediately tells her that she is very beautiful, worthy of being his princess. He asks her why she is with him. She says that she loves him, that is why she is with him. The knight asks if he has bewitched her with black magic. He kisses her hand and says that he will break this vile spell. He will definitely overcome him and return to her. He says goodbye to her and leaves. Kururu says how pathetic he is. Tita says he is not pathetic at all, just disgusting. They notice that the orc is shaking all over. He says furiously that the knight is now dead. He had the audacity to set his eyes on his woman. He thought he could hold back, but that was not going to happen. Kururu says that he can be so unfazed by betraying his lover with other girls in front of him, but when another guy does that to his lover, it really pisses him off. Tita says that since she knows he loves her, maybe she should be a little happy about his jealousy. The orc tells them to sit down and watch from the stands. He asks Tita how she would like him to die. She says that she shouldn't kill him, that would probably cause them trouble. The host announces and suggests to see who is worthy of being the hero and the owner of the oracle's sword. He tells the contenders to enter the ring. They enter the ring, they wish death to Orc. They have bet a large sum on the Knight of the White Rose. Let him not interfere with Mr. Levin. Tita and Kururu cheer for him among the crowd. The knight says that it seems that the audience already knows who the true hero is. The orc says that it should have been determined by pulling out the sword. The knight is indignant. She told him earlier that she almost pulled it out. He throws the sword into the knight's hands. He starts screaming and then drops the sword itself, saying that it is heavy. The floor where the sword fell begins to crack. The orc picks up the sword and asks if he sees that as expected, he can't use it. He gets angry and says that there's clearly something wrong, probably because the wrong person pulled it out and now he thinks it's his own. Kururu says that he apparently doesn't know about the properties of orichalcum. She says that orichalcum is a very dense material. The sword itself weighs a little less than 5 tons. It could not be pulled out simply because they could not lift it, but orichalcum becomes lighter if you ask the spirits for help. In other words, if you are not a hero with a spirit mark, then he will not be able to use weapons made of orichalcum. The knight sighs and says that he will make this sword fully realize who its true owner is when he defeats it. He says he will show him his secret technique, a bouquet of flowers to die beautifully. He uses a splash of roses. The orc wonders if these are real roses if he was wearing them among the ones on his back. He shields himself from the roses with his forearm. The knight shouts that he has one because these roses contain a poison that can put even an elephant into a coma. The orc throws off the roses and says that they didn't even scratch him. The girls rejoice and shout his name. He always protects his body with internal energy, such a trifle won't break through it. The knight tenses up and says that if this is the case, he has no other choice. He will put an end to this with his beautiful sword. He says the tip of the blade is coated with poison that can instantly kill an elephant. The orc asks him if he has anything against elephants. The knight swings his weapon sharply. The orc dodges with ease. The knight does not understand why his attacks with divine speed do not reach their target. The orc asks if this is really divine speed, so don't make fun of him. His mother's skill as the Azure Thunder hero surpasses the speed of thunder. Compared to her, he seemed to freeze. The orc says he hasn't fought many swordsmen, so let him watch and learn. Let him take what he can, don't be stingy. The orc says he might not even say thank you. If not, then let them get it over with. The knight steps back. He doesn't believe he can be scared. It's impossible. He shouts that he will show his true power, the strongest secret strike with super godly speed, surpassing the strike with godly speed. The orc asks what kind of fancy name is that. He is a Chunobu to the core. The knight runs towards him with words to destroy him using precision killing. He uses rose flashes. The knife blade flies away from him. The orc thinks that with such a piercing attack with a sword, it surpasses divine speed. Add the flight speed and the speed it reached at the moment of launch, and the attack surpasses divine and super divine speed. This is the strongest technique of the White Rose. The orc puts his sword in front of him and asks if he is stupid. He just shot a blade, let him get rid of it. The knight screams, did his strongest technique not work? It can't be. The orc says he will finish it right now. The orc swings his sword and asks to be allowed to warn him, to try to stop this with all his might. Otherwise he will die. He raises his sword and plans to show him the powerful technique he inherited from his mother. Movements enhanced by internal energy and mana are faster than even the super divine speed of the White Rose. The specialty of the Oracle Sword is that when it is filled with the power of the spirits, it becomes as light as a feather. This lightness can surpass super divine speed. Releasing mana when swinging will return the sword to its original weight, in other words, a slashing blow from shoulder to waist with super divine speed and super weight. He lowers his sword. The blow tears the knight's clothes. The knight himself presses his whole body into the wall so that the wall cracks. The orc says he won't die, then the knight gets up, walks forward, and then says it was beautiful. He calls him a hero. Then he falls down suddenly. The orc says who would have thought that he would hold on just to say it. The host announces that the orc has won. Everyone is shouting, "What kind of nonsense is this? He is a loser." They ask Mr. Levna how his face is. The orc looks up and sees the girls on the seats. He mentally asks Tita or Kururu if she saw him using the oracle sword like this. They decide to celebrate the orc's victory and their meeting. They sit in some establishment and enjoy drinks. Tita says how delicious this honey drink is. Orc says that the traditional main course should be ready soon. Kururu asks to wait. She says that this hotel is quite expensive and hers. The orc immediately tells her not to worry, he will naturally pay for everything. He made a good profit from today's duel. The coefficient reached 12, so he received gold coins, which is about 120 million yen. Kururu tells him that he has no reason to treat her. In fact, she is indebted to him for teaching her so much. The orc says that treating the sweet girl to delicious food and seeing the joy on her face is the reason for it. She thanks him but says that she doesn't need it. The orc then tells her to consider it payment for the part-time job. He was forbidden to bet on himself. It was just gratitude for the fact that she placed the bet instead of him. Kururu sadly bows her head. Tita tells her to pounce on the food. Good things should be shared. She agrees and says that she is with them. Orc asks her if she is aware that she is starting to wag her tail. The waiter leaves the food and apologizes for the wait. They all have dinner together in pleasant company. They are already at the table in the fresh air and say that it was delicious. Tita is simply delighted. Kururu says that she is even envious. It is unlikely that she will ever find herself in such an expensive establishment again. The orc says that if she becomes his wife, she will be able to go to such places whenever she wants. Kururu asks him if he really wants to be with a girl who is so obsessed with money. Orc says that she misunderstood him. He has already fallen in love with her, so he is ready to use even such methods to attract her attention. She says that she is already starting to think that this is not so bad and this scares her. The orc says he's surprised she's short on money. She's already quite skilled. She can earn money as a blacksmith. Kururu asks if he wants to know the reason, and she tried to hint with her behavior instead of answering the question. He says she's right, that's why he didn't ask until now, but now it's different. She wanted them to ask if that's true. She confirms this and says that she hasn't had such a fun dinner or made friends in a long time. She probably didn't want to seem weak. She asks them then to listen to her. She says after a pause that she is very tormented by problems. She starts to say that she is poor because not only was her mother killed, but her uncle stole her annual income, and the sword priestesses are forbidden to openly sell weapons, so he has very serious financial problems. They are surprised that it was so straightforward. Orc says that details can't be left out, then he asks for more after her mother is killed. Kururu says that's not quite true. The orc says that first of all, the oracle's sword was not created for a hero. It's just an item that can only be used if it controls the spirit's energy. Kururu agrees and says honestly that they, the Divine Steel clan, can use it too. She takes the sword. Tita is surprised. Kururu explains that the spirits of fire love the representatives of the Divine Steel clan. They can also control spiritual energy. They ask her, so what is the oracle's sword for? She says that it is to seal the god of misfortunes. They ask her if there is such a being in the Holy Land. What kind of god of misfortunes is this? This is a god who grants almost any wish, but in a sinister form. She had heard several stories about him, such as one man wished for gold and silver treasures. He suddenly turned into a monster. Then God took over his mind and began stealing. the man came to his senses in front of a pile of treasures collected after he killed all the people in the city. Or the girl who asked him to heal her mother. A moment later, a powerful earthquake occurred, taking the life of her mother and thousands of other lives, so he cured her of her illness with the help of death. Tita says what a terrible way to grant wishes this is. Orc agrees and says that the worst thing is that he is so powerful. Kururu says that because of such cases, people try to avoid the god of misfortunes. Everyone starts thinking like that. The orc asks if you wish well, you can get what you want. That's what everyone thinks. Everyone thought that as long as the wish didn't contain a drop of evil intent, everything would be fine. None of them had ever made a wish before, but people still kept trying. The orc says that this is recklessness at its finest. Kururu says that this is the clan's greatest secret, and since there are enough people trying to break the seal, it is now sealed in the strictest secrecy. It is their clan's duty to secretly seal this god of misfortune. They, the divine clan of steel, secretly fulfill this duty. Orc suggests that he is sealed with this sword. She says that it is. The essence of the sealing ritual is in the use of an orichalcum sword. It is used to cut the orichalcum, in which the power of the god of misfortune is imprisoned. Orc says that this is a very well-known method of sealing. When it comes to an evil god, no matter how much it is contained, its power leaks out more and more, so its power needs to be dispersed regularly. Orichalcum is ideal for this. It can hold a huge amount of energy. Orichalcum is used to siphon off energy, weaken it, and disperse it. The sealing ceremony was held 6 months ago, and the ceremony was conducted by Kururu's mother, the priestess of the sword. When the mother was about to cut the orichalcum, she noticed that her uncle had replaced her sword with his own. She thought that if she stopped now, the seal would not hold, after which she performed the ritual with her uncle's imperfect sword. But she still died from the energy filling her that could not be dispelled. It can be said that she was killed. The orc asks if that's what she meant when she said she was killed. Why did her uncle do that? She replies that her uncle wanted to become a sword priest. If she can complete the ritual with the sword she forged, only then can she say it is perfect. If she fails, she will destroy her mother's hopes and bear the consequences. He said that he did not switch the sword. He claimed that the ugly sword they used in the ceremony belonged to her mother. Then the uncle ran away with the money that mother had saved for her. Naturally, he does not have the power of a sword priest. He could not perform the ritual. The next sealing ceremony will be held soon. From the clan, only she can process orichalcum. In the current situation, she desperately tried to create a semblance of an oracle sword. But the rulers of the country most likely decided that this sword was not good enough. Trying to cover up the shortcomings of the sword with skill in wielding it, they began searching for a hero. She is sure that one of the rulers of the country will come and ask him to perform the ritual, so she tells about the secrets of the clan. He asks if she thinks he can handle it. She replies that it's unlikely. It's not about strength, but about a sword that can cut through a soul. She says that she tried to destroy this replica of the oracle sword so that no one would commit suicide like that. She didn't want anyone to die because of her sword. Now the orc understands everything. Kururu said that she was proud of her family, but he could not imagine that she was so serious. She was really worried that someone would die because of this sword. The orc asks her what she will do now. She says that she is going to forge the perfect blade and then perform the sealing ritual. She says that thanks to him, she believes she can handle it. The orc says that then he will try to teach better. The orc gets up and offers to go to her house. She starts screaming that he realized that she can't make the sword herself and that she has no other choice, so he tries to get into her room because she trusted him. The orc tells her not to rush to understand her in this sense when she is told such a phrase. The orc says that they will practice next. He asks if she has any blacksmith tools at home. She says that she understands and asks him not to sniff or lick anything. He replies that he will try. She is indignant. Why is there no clear answer? They leave together. In Kururu's case, everything is quite clear. He is sure that she will quickly bring the sword to perfection. He intervened in this and will stay with her until the very end. Kururu asks him what he will say. He, with a strange look and mustache, says that he has nothing more to teach her, so her training is over. He says that she has learned all his teachings. She thanks him. Then Orc turns to her again. She listens attentively. He asks again if she wants to be with him. She replies that she does not want to at all, calling him a respected teacher. The orc clicks his tongue and leaves. Kururu complains and asks Tita if she saw him click. She says that it's an orc, so there's nothing to be done. They locked themselves in Kuroru's house and trained her for 10 days, sparing no effort. He thought that if they spent so many days together, he would have a chance to take possession of her. He understands how naive that was. The orc says that they will forget about it and that she is now ready to create the perfect oracle sword. She says that she will try, the plans will be ready by the end of the day. Kuroru says that the problem with the materials remains unresolved, they won't melt down that sword. The orc says that then they can just mine the orichalcum. She asks him not to say it's easy, there are monsters roaming there. Orc says it's okay, she already knows he's strong. Kuroru says that since he's so sure, she needs the orichalcum to create her ultimate sword, so go ahead. Orc says she can rely on him. The orc says he will take some pieces of metal. They ask him why. He replies that since Kuroru has to go with them but wants to finish the design today, they have only one choice. And this way out is to use them in alchemy. Kuroru ends up sitting on a chair that is attached to Orc like a backpack. Orc says that they have no choice but to put Kuroru on the chair and carry her on his back. Kuroru tells him that he definitely has problems in his head. She screams that she did say that monsters live there and it's dangerous. Orc says with a laugh that carrying her on his back won't slow him down at all. Kuroru says he's giving up and asks him to just tell her if he feels heavy. Orc says she weighs about 45 kilograms and needs to eat better. She asks him not to determine that by carrying her on his back. They go to mine orichalcum. An orc in the city asks if this is holy ground. Tita says it is full of divine steel, all with luxurious homes. Kuroru says they can all afford it. The orc asks if it is true that Kuroru is the only one who can process orichalcum now. Kuroru says that's why the villagers make their living from tourism, with tourist shops owned by the Kana who hire people to work there. Orc says that the Divine Steel clan is surprisingly strong. Tita asks if they are so rich she could ask for a loan. She thinks for a long time. She says they are just vile traders, and if you ask them for a loan you will have to do whatever they want in return, maybe make them entertain some famous person who wants to meet the priestess of the sword, and that is a real headache. The orc asks if he can hear the mysterious image of her clan crumbling. Kuroru says that on the other hand, it could be called simple envy. Once upon a time, everyone could process orichalcum, which is why they are called a clan. But over time, the blood weakened, and eventually her family was the only one who could still process orichalcum, so she is despised. Moreover, she was looked at in a bad way more than once or twice. She is the strongest in the village, and this saved her. Her children will most likely also be able to process orichalcum like her. Everyone strives for this, they just marry her to call themselves full members of the clan. You could say that her chastity is at stake. Orc says sadly that it's hard for her, it's understandable why she wants to be with him, even though he tries so hard to get her. Kuroru says that she feels like in his case, no one in this world would like it. Tita asks if she was so afraid that she would do bad things. Kuroru says that it didn't bother her much. Kuroru says that in the case of the orc, she understood that he liked her. She didn't think that he would do anything bad to her. It's strange, but it doesn't scare her. The orc proudly says that this means she likes him. She adds that it doesn't scare him, but for some reason, it's very annoying. Tita says she thinks she understands what she means. She asks if it's true. Orc asks them to stop disagreeing with each other and calm down. They enter the mine. They walk down the dark mine corridor. Then the magical energy here is incredible. The orichalcum glows. They decide to go deeper because the orichalcum here is not pure enough. Kuroru turns around and says it's a monster. Tita says it's pretty strong. She agrees and says she can feel its powerful magical energy. It turns out that it is a monster with horns made of orichalcum. Tita says that she has never seen such a terrible monster in her life. Since the mine was ignored for years, most likely the Overlord was born. The monsters feed on magical energy, and the Overlord is a demon who ate other demons, which led to abnormal growth. Orc tells Kuroru that he will put her down for a minute. She shouts at him that you can't underestimate the master. This monster can easily destroy a village or a city. No matter how strong he is, it is still dangerous. He tells Kuroru that he didn't tell her, but in the fight with the White Rose Knight, he didn't use even a tenth of his power. He didn't use any magic at all, and besides, he was already finished. He strikes down this huge monster with one fist. Kuroru looks at it in shock. Titi stands there with a smile, proud of him. The orc calls them to hurry to the deepest part. Kuroru asks what he did, more importantly, how he did it. The orc says it was magic, but just a little trick. Kururu asks Tita if she has ever seen an orc use his full strength, and she replies that she has only done so once. She tells him that he destroyed a creature that could destroy everything. Kururu asks if he wants to, he can destroy the world. Tita says he can. The orc says that this is not actually true. That time he only opened 2 seals. The second seal only releases half of his power. However, if he had not held back and had released all his power, he was sure that he would not have been able to return. In a sense, this was all his power. They see a huge stone. The orc says that this is the deepest part. Here it is, the purest orichalcum. The girls are surprised. The orc says he feels the weapon he makes from it will be the finest in the world. He can't wait to hold the sword Kururu forged for him. Kururu says that this is holy land which was protected by her ancestors. Today she will take as much as possible, because it may turn out that she will never return from here. The spirits of fire gather in one place as expected from the priestess of the sword, but he can also create heat of such power, but at the same time cannot process orichalcum. What will she do next? She combines her magical energy with the power of the bugs, creating a completely new magic, the flame of Kururu. Orichalcum reacts to Kururu's flame. It is clear to him that this is the power of the sword priestess. Kururu is chipped off by orichalcum. She exhales and says that now they have all the materials they need. Tita tells her it was amazing. Orc says no one else could have done it. Suddenly Kururu falls on the orc. She laughs awkwardly and says that she used more strength than she thought. The orc says that she did a good job, he will do the rest himself. They go out. Tita asks if it's okay that they left the chair there. Orc says it's okay, it's of no use now because she won't be drawing anymore. Tita says that it seems like Kururu has started to get used to him. He asks if it is true, but she answers him rather coldly in his opinion. Tita says that the girl will not sleep on the back of someone she does not trust, no matter how tired she is, and she also has a very relaxed sleeping face. Orc says how he wants to see that sleeping face. Tita says he can do it as soon as they get home. Orc happily says that he understands. That's how she gets used to him. In short, we can hope that they will be together very soon. Tita indignantly shouts that she didn't say anything like that. Kururu wakes up. Tita says that she woke up. Orc regrets that he didn't see her sleeping face. Kururu apologizes and asks if she is heavy. She will come down now. Orc says he doesn't mind if she stays there. The orc adds that he only wants to enjoy her softness and scent. Kururu descends immediately. Kururu says how perverted he is. He agrees and says that he is. Kururu says that if you close your eyes to it, he is cool, kind, and reliable. He says that he always shows these sides of himself to everyone. Kururu agrees, and she talks about it. Orc asks if she really wants him to be horny when they're alone. She yells that she didn't say that. Kururu starts to speak with a sigh, and why exactly should she like him? She suddenly stops talking. And then he walks away from them and says that in any case they need to get home, rest, and prepare for tomorrow. They didn't hear anything, so they just agreed. On the way, Kururu suddenly stops. Orc asks her what is going on. They see a man at the door. It's a man with fox ears. Tita says, is there really someone in front of her house? Kururu says it's her uncle, the one who killed her mother and ran away with their money. Orc puts his hand on her shoulder and says he will go with her. Kururu starts to smile. They walk towards the house. Kururu says she has something to tell him too. Uncle sees them and tells Kururu that he was waiting for her. He asks if she changed the lock. He couldn't get into the house. She replies that it's so that any thieves couldn't get inside. He says that's a good idea. The orc thinks to himself, did he not understand Kururu's sarcasm? She tells him rudely that he had the nerve to come to her. Uncle says that he also regrets the past. He advises her to turn over this page of life. He pulls out his sword and tells her to take a look. He has forged a decent sword this time. He has been traveling the world for the last 6 months improving his blacksmithing skills. Orc and Kururu look at him in surprise. Orc wonders if this is all just to forge a second-rate sword. Kururu tells him that the sword she forged is better. Uncle disagrees and says that this is nonsense. His sword is even better than the one forged by that woman. In other words, he believes that he is now a priest of the sword. Kururu asks Orc to give him her sword. He pulls it out and gives it to her. Uncle looks at her with disdain and says that she tried hard. For someone who is still learning, he decides to look at the work of his sweet niece. His eyes widen and he begins to sweat. The orc thinks that even a fool like him can easily understand the quality of the sword. He starts shaking and saying that it can't be. Is her sword really better than his? He shouts about the quality of the material, justifying himself by saying that he didn't have good orichalcum. Kururu asks if he didn't have good orichalcum, so he used it as material for this worthless sword. She guesses something. He shouts that she is right, it is her sword, which he then replaced. She knows that if you melt orichalcum twice, its quality deteriorates. Kururu yells at him, what is he talking about? Did he really melt down his mother's sword to forge this trash? She yells that she hates him. Uncle swings his sword at her, outraged that he called his sword trash. Kururu looks on worriedly. Orc takes action. When the sword falls on Kururu, Orc uses the wind so that his uncle simply flies upwards, as if he had been uppercutted from below. The Orc says it's an air strike from below for raising a hand to his beloved. Kururu asks him when she became his lover. He answers that probably within the next 3 days. She is indignant. Isn't that in the future, and where did such a precise date come from? He scares her. Orc says that since she makes such tsukomi, then there is nothing wrong with her. Uncle stands up and asks why she's making things difficult. Then he bows his head and thanks him because he almost killed Kururu, but first he needs to get something from her. He shouts to give him all the gold and orichalcum she has. If he has quality materials, he can become the next sword priest. Kururu screams that this will never happen because she is the only sword priestess, and she tried her best to get everything she has now. Uncle shouts at her to be quiet. Does she really think she can contradict him? She shouts that of course she can. She has no respect for him and she doesn't consider him family at all. She feels only hatred and contempt for him. She tells him to get out of here right now. Uncle throws the sword at her again. Kururu raises his hand, after which the sword begins to melt in Uncle's hands. She says that she can easily destroy this trash. Even with orichalcum blocks it is harder. Uncle screams in madness that he knew that this blood was passed on to her, the blood of the Divine Steel clan, the blood that is not in him. He thinks it's unfair. If he had that blood running through him too, then he says it's useless, he can't do it anymore. He doesn't understand why it's so cruel. He leaves. Kururu falls powerlessly to the ground. The Orc asks her if she's okay. She says she's okay, but she's just a little scared. He tells her that if she needs strength, he is there. She says that now she is a little angry because he has shown himself to be reliable. Orc says he wants to hug her and asks her permission. She says that it turns out he can hold back at such moments. She asks him to hug her. They hug. She asks if they can sit like this for a while, at least until the fear passes. The Orc says of course he can, as long as he wants. Later, they cook dinner together at home and eat. Late in the office, Orc asks what Tita is doing. She says she is sleeping. Orc understands. The Orc looks at the papers and says that these were the last amendments he could point out. She says that they will be very useful. The Orc says that he was trained in sword forging after all. The Orc says that he never thought that there would be a sword with which he could use all his power. He is very grateful to her. So he would like to thank her with money as a reward, but she insists that it is not worth it. She says that he has already given her so much knowledge. She does not need more. Besides, given their relationship, it would be strange to accept money. Orc says that's true. If she were his wife, they wouldn't need to divide the property. She screams that it's not about that. He asks her what kind of relationship they have in her opinion, and she says that they are teachers and students, not exactly, not friends and not family, lovers maybe, but she doesn't know in her life. She then adds that she feels that the expression that she wants him to be near describes them more accurately. The Orc thinks that it is very disappointing that they are lovers, but it is still nice to be needed. Kururu says it's ready. What will he say? Orc starts to watch. He thinks that she complements his corrections with her own ideas and makes them even better, a real genius. He believes that she will very soon surpass him in this craft. The Orc tells her that it is perfect and that he has nothing more to say. She is happy and shouts that she succeeded. Orc thinks that the smug Kururu is very cute. It's bad, just one look, and her smug face is enough to make him want to be with her. The Orc tells her that that's all. He goes back to his room. She needs to sleep too, because the sun will rise soon. Suddenly she holds the Orc's clothes and there is silence. She asks him if he will sleep with her tonight. He looks at her in surprise. She says that, to be honest, she is still a little scared. Orc says that he is not against it, but does the thought of him sleeping with her scare her? She says that she is sure that he will not do anything like that, and so she will keep her promise about the tail pillow. She lies down and says that she will sleep so that he can rest his head on the tail that he adores so much. Orc is sweating and pounces on Kururu, thinking that the living hug pillow with a tail, the cutie with fox ears, is too much, as if he is using the orc's bed immersion. He lies down next to her. Kururu asks how he likes the tail pillow. He says he's so happy he could die right now. She says she has the best tail in the clan. He says he'd say it's the best in the world. Kururu says that she also feels calmer when she feels him on her tail. Orc wishes her good night. They lie down. Orc is enjoying himself. He thinks that she really fell asleep. Isn't that in itself an invitation for him to finally act? He imagines the devil. But at some point an angel appears who says that this is a so-called hint. It would be rude to ignore her invitation. The orc is indignant. The angel should be his last restraining factor, so let him do his job. He says out loud that he doesn't want to betray her trust, not someone with a face like Kururu's. His dark desires never fade away, so he will hold them back himself until Kururu wakes up. He sighs and says it's going to be a long night. At this time, Uncle Kururu hits the orichalcum stones and asks, is he there, this god of misfortunes? He tells him to come out. He falls in front of him, breathing heavily. He says with tears in his eyes, why not him? He asks him to fulfill his wish to make him the strongest priest of the sword. Suddenly the stone activates and begins to sparkle. Kururu in a new outfit says good morning to Tita. She asks what kind of outfit she has in a positive sense. She thinks it's so beautiful. She says it's a ceremonial robe for a sword priestess to release all her power. It was made for her mother. She says with embarrassment that it doesn't look good on a short girl like her. Orc says with a tired face that it's nonsense, so it suits her. Kururu asks if he's tired. He says that now that he's seen her smile, he's glad he didn't let those two do whatever they wanted. She doesn't understand what he's talking about. Kururu asks if it is flattery that she looks good. He replies that it is not at all, because a girl who needs to be flattered would not give in to his persuasion. Kururu thanks him and says that if it looks good on her, it means she has gained a little weight. They go down the stairs. Kururu says that all that remains is to forge the perfect oracle sword. She asks them to wait impatiently. They say that they will definitely wait. The orc snaps his fingers. Fairies appear. He says that he has gathered all the fire spirits here. Now she will be able to use more power than usual. Kururu smiles and says it is time to forge the perfect oracle sword. She begins her process. But it is sharply distracting due to noise, just like Orc and Tita. She goes to the door and grumbles what's going on. She was trying to concentrate. She opens the door and asks if it's urgent. She sees soldiers in front of her. They are shouting that they are in big trouble because someone broke the seal of the god of misfortune. She is shocked and says that this is nonsense because the seal's container is made of orichalcum and it could only be destroyed. The soldier tells her that an order has also come from above to bring her. She screams that it wasn't her. He says that they will still have to interrogate them. Orc comes out and says that Kururu is innocent. He asks if they know that her uncle recently showed up. The soldiers say he defeated the Knight of the White Rose, so why is he here? They assume it's because of the oracle's sword. Orc says that they have been together since yesterday, so she has a perfect alibi. The orc sternly asks them if the god of misfortunes is free, then what are they doing here anyway? The soldier says uncertainly and awkwardly that they are only following orders and the details. The orc interrupts and says that he is going to the seal. This god of misfortunes does not give him peace. In the worst case, several countries will be destroyed. Kururu shouts that she is coming with him. Orc refuses and tells her to forge a sword. He says that if the worst of his assumptions comes true, he will need the oracle's sword. He shouts to everyone that he has gone and asks Tita to stay here. She agrees and obeys. Kururu shouts that she will use all her power to forge a flawless oracle sword, and he will definitely get it. The orc smiles, then sets off. He thinks if this is Uncle Kururu's doing, then what is his motive? What did this worthless thing do? He wonders if he tried to prove himself by renewing the seal of the god of misfortune but failed. He gives up on that option. Yesterday he admitted his uselessness to Kururu. Even if he did what he planned to do perfectly, that is, renew the seal, how could he possibly be better than Kururu then? Most likely he made a wish to the god of misfortune. He asked for the power to surpass Kururu to become a sword priest, or something like that. The orc stops abruptly, realizing that the god of misfortune will grant this wish in the worst possible way. He approaches the village and sees corpses. The orc says that Uncle Kururu was obsessed with the idea of creating the most powerful sword. He wanted to forge the best sword in the world, and this is how he realized his dream. He sees and says that he himself has become the strongest sword in the world. Indeed, Uncle Kururu has turned into an independent sword that only wants to cut. Uncle Kururu makes all sorts of sounds like cutting, whipping. His eye is forged right on the blade. He looks at Orc with hatred, and Orc in turn reacts to him excitedly. This uncle approaches the soldier in an instant and puts his blades to him. The soldier does nothing from shock and freezes in place. The blades wrap around the soldier's neck. He only manages to make a short sound, when suddenly the Orc manages to push him away with his sword. The soldier hiccups from fear. The Orc shouts at them to run and asks them not to request reinforcements. He believes that they will only get in the way. The Orc tells him that he has good speed. He asks him, because the god of misfortunes is inside him, he only shows a desire to cut. They clash blades. The Orc realizes that a monster possessed only by this desire to cut is the complete downfall of Uncle Kururu. They go on the attack and simultaneously reflect each other's blows. The Orc guesses that this is a god of misfortune in a twisted form. He already uses the spirit mark on both hands just to use the power of the wind and increase his speed. It is disturbing that he is forced to do this just to match the speed of this creature. The enemy itself is made of orichalcum. Magical attacks are then useless, and while he is spending strength and getting tired, he does not become slower. If this continues, it will be very bad. The Orc's sword begins to crack, and he is glad that he cut his sword and that he is generally the strongest. The Orc tells him, calling him a vile doll, that it is too early to rejoice. The power of both spirit marks, his magical energy, his will, everything. He will pour everything he has into the sword as much as possible, so that he can perhaps fight without letting the sword get damaged. He attacks and leaves a scratch on his uncle. The Orc says, even if you rely on the power of the god of misfortune, Kururu's sword is still the best. Uncle attacks again. Orc thinks, has he really recovered? No, he has evolved into a sharper and stronger form, the strongest sword. God grants this wish. He will no longer be able to fight with this sword on equal terms. The question is whether his trump card, which will help him defeat him, will arrive to him in time. At this time, Kururu works tirelessly on the sword. Forging is not just creating something. You need to pour your heart and soul into your creation. Kururu feels the hammer swing the way she wants it to create the sword her mother so wanted to forge. It's strange, but she hopes that the one who openly told him about her feelings will consider this sword worthy of use. She fills the sword with everything. Kururu can't think of anything but him. She works tirelessly. What kind of guys does she like? When she thought about it, she realized that she didn't have any particular preferences, since she considered them to be terrible creatures who only got close to her because of their priestess lineage. However, even though Orc behaved strangely, she was not afraid of him. He is reliable, kind, and fun to be with. He makes her heart beat faster. She fills the sword with her feelings and lies down, saying that she is finished. She wonders why she acts like this when she thinks about him. So strange. She never thought she would feel this way, certainly not for someone like an Orc. She opens the door. Tita asks if she is finished. She replies that she is finished and that he is completely ready and perfect. Tita says that in that case they need to run to the Orc right now. It seems he is in big trouble. Kururu asks her about it. The soldiers tell her that it seems like someone made a wish to the god of misfortune, and as a result, his body turned into a living orichalcum sword. Now the hero fights and holds him back, but he is at a disadvantage. They both set off. Kururu just realized how the one who made a wish becomes something like that, and how brave the Orc is to face such creatures. Kururu screams at him what a weirdo he is, how fearless he is. He could have just run away. Tita tells her that he is who he is. She adds that if he allows this creature to live, it might come for her. She awkwardly says that she is not even his lover. All she did was refuse him. Tita does not think that it matters. The Orc does it because he likes her. Tita explains that in her case he did the same. She asked herself the same questions, and when she asked him, he only said that he wanted her to live with a smile on her face. She thinks she fell in love with him because that's who he is. Kururu says that he was just pretending to be cool, but still, she now realizes that the Orc is not a mere talker. She doesn't understand why she thinks about him all the time. He still talks about creating a harem, so she thinks he's weird. However, he always told the truth when she said he liked her and his actions. She remembers all his actions. She asks Tita if all this talk about the harem doesn't disgust her. Doesn't she want to be the only one for him? She replies that of course she does. That's why she refused him at first. She says he fought, risking his life just like he is now. Because of who he is, she knew he would love her and make her happier than anyone she would meet after that. She says that even if she is not the only one, then Kururu adds that at the same time when he tried to do something to her, he also loved her sincerely. Kururu thanks her and asks for forgiveness. She asks why, and she replies that thanks to her she realized a lot of things. She apologizes again for falling in love with the same guy. Tita says she doesn't mind because it's her. She says with a smile that she is happy. She says that perhaps now she understands what she feels. She asks for forgiveness again for something else. Kururu says that it's obvious that the orc can make them both happy, but she will strive to be his first priority. Tita says she can say the same thing, she strives for it too. They run towards him together with happy smiles. Kururu thinks that she should give the forged sword to someone dear to her. The orc raises his sword. He realizes that they have been fighting for an hour. He wonders how much stronger and faster he can become. The uncle himself, in the form of a sword, only seeks to kill him. He's all spinning each time he attacks in a new way. The orc uses an iron wall. It breaks through this wall. However, the orc lifted a huge piece of earth and brought it down on him, pressing him into the ground. The orc waits, but the uncle himself comes out from under the ground. The orc understands that he is passing through everything. It does not even help him to buy time. He looks at his hands and realizes that the spirit marks are fading. He has about 2 minutes left. Uncle realizes that the orc is tired, so he thinks that this is his chance to kill him. The orc is going to use the strongest sword technique. It essentially has divine speed, or you can say that it is a more advanced cutting strike. Its name is Iai, that is, an instant strike with a sword from its sheath. Uncle passes through his attacks. Orc's sword breaks. Uncle shouts, laughing, "What is this really the strongest sword?" That he is better suited than Kururu. The orc admits to him that his sword is better than this one. But does he know that now Kururu can forge an even better sword? He shouts to Kururu if this is true. At that moment, Tita and Kururu run towards him with a knife. Kururu throws him the sword with the sheath and shouts that it is finally ready. She says that it is their common sword. Uncle shouts Kururu's name. Orc catches her sword. Uncle suddenly approaches Kururu and tries to attack, but Orc stops him. The orc asks his uncle, he is the strongest sword in the world, then he should cut Kururu's sword, not her herself. If he has even a grain of pride as a representative of divine steel, then let him exchange frontal attacks for the last time. Uncle says it's interesting. He's sure he'll break Kururu's sword and then he'll break Kururu herself. The orc ponders and analyzes it. His right hand is extremely clenched. This power is many times greater than what he showed before. The orc suggests that Kururu do it together, and they grab the new sword together. With Kururu's flames enveloping the cape, it turns into an orichalcum destroyer. Kururu asks if she can ask why he's doing all this, since it's because of her that his body is in such a terrible state. Orc replies that it was because he wanted to protect Kururu's dream, so he couldn't just take them and run away. Kururu asks in what sense not her, but her dream. He says that if he only wanted to protect her, the safest thing would be to take her and run away. She does not understand why. The orc explains that she wanted to restore the seal together with her mother. The god of misfortune is now in the body of this sword. If they cut him down with her sword, then they will definitely restore the seal. Maybe this time they will make him disappear forever. If they do not do this, then her dream will never come true. Kururu suddenly starts laughing. She asks if he is stupid. His brain must have melted from thinking so much. She kisses him on the cheek and says that she likes him very much. If he, as he said, protects her dream, then he should expect more from her. The orc says that he understood her, so it's time to finish. Uncle Kururu attacks him and shouts that he is definitely the best. The orc apologizes, which disappoints him, but he is wrong about that. He is sure of it. He begins. The speed is higher than before. It seems he will have to use all his power. He is held back by 3 orc seals. He opens the first one. He has studied the seals and learned their true power. Now he can increase the power within the first seal to the maximum, but only for 8 seconds. He uses the double spirit mark, but it's not enough for him. In his mind, he imagines his love for Kururu. The blow was passed. The uncle keeps saying that he is the best several times, and then lifelessly breaks down and falls to the ground. The orc says that he just cut through his very essence along with the god of misfortune. The girls happily run to him, and the orc greets his new friend, the sword. The girls run to the orc and shout that it was amazing. They have never seen such beautiful and fast movements in their lives. It was the best attack. The orc is surprised. He did not think that they would be able to even see the sword. In truth, he put everything he has into that attack. The speed of the sword surpassed even the speed of sound. The eye could not catch such speed. Tita asks if she didn't say those jade eyes are a special feature of high elves. She says she's just a fox. The orc asks if that's her explanation. Orc suggests going because Kururu won't be able to continue what she promised. They don't understand what to continue. Tita asks Kururu if she told the orc that she would do this to him when he dealt with that dull sword. Kururu is surprised and asks if she didn't do the same when he risked his life for her. Kururu says she thought they were similar in some way. Tita asks if the orc forced her to do this. He says nothing of the sort. Orc says that he has studied several techniques, but does she see he would rather have girls fall in love with him on their own? If he manipulated their feelings, it would ruin their charm, so he won't do that. Tita tells Kururu that she wishes her the best because the orc is amazing in every way. She asks what she means by he is amazing in every way. The orc takes Kururu's hand and says that they will hurry back. She asks why he is so abrupt. He says that they will get there sooner if he carries her. She wonders how much of a hurry he is in. Tita stays where she is and waves to them. Orc tells her that he has been fantasizing ever since she let him lie on her tail pillow last night. He will definitely fulfill all her wishes that she has. Kururu yells that if he says so, she still won't understand what they are going to do until he explains. Orc tells her not to worry, she will teach her everything. Kururu tells him that sometimes he has a fatherly aura about him. They get home. Kururu says that she feels a little embarrassed when he stares at her like that. She knows that she told him that she likes him, but she feels like a small animal before a predator eats it. The orc is playing around and says he's going to eat her, calling Kururu a little fox. She says she's disgusted. The orc tells her that if she is truly afraid of his gaze, then one word and they can do it later. She says that it is not fair. If she says it with such an upset face, then it will be even more difficult for her to refuse him. She tells him to do what he wants. He thanks her and says that he will do everything with great pleasure. He thinks that Kururu is adorable. A harem can't be called a harem if there's only one girl in it, but now that Kururu has joined him, he does feel a sense of satisfaction, but it's still not enough for him. This is just the beginning of his intention to create the perfect harem. In the morning he wakes up, looks out the window, drinks coffee. He smiles wickedly at the thought that this is an amazing feeling. A harem has been created, and they are both long-eared and charming, cuties, an elf and a fox with a fluffy tail. For him this is a great start. He came up with a new laugh suitable for an orc. It sounds like yukukukuku. It just smells of orcishness. He will use it in his best moments. He wonders if he should go make breakfast. He looks at the sleeping Kururu and decides to do something before that. He grabbed her tail. He thinks how happy he is. Now he will be able to enjoy this fluffiness whenever he wants. He gives a message to his dear parents that he has officially started creating a harem. There are so many memories in this city. He was lucky enough to get the oracle sword and meet Kururu, but his main goal is to become the harem king. So it's time to go to another city. Orc Tita and Kururu are walking around a city surrounded by large mountains. There are food stalls in the middle of the city. Meat is hung on one stall, other types of food are in another. There are not that many people. Kururu asks if they are already leaving the city. The orc answers affirmatively. She says that next week there will be a parade in honor of the hero's birth. He says that it will do without it. Kururu says he's weird, even though he's a hero of the country and can gain power and money if he just wants it. He doesn't want anything like that. Tita says she's sure there would be no end of girls. The orc says that he doesn't like it. He doesn't want girls to throw themselves at him just because he's a hero and he can earn the money he needs on his own, and he's not interested in power at all. If any of this was interesting to him, he would simply become the king of Forland. They look at him in surprise. Kururu asks what he just said, and he says that if he wanted power, he could have just become the king of Forland. They ask if he is talking about the super kingdom of Forland. How could he even become their king? He replies that he is a member of the royal family of Forland. Kururu says he's a liar. Tita says it's about an orc. Maybe it's true. The orc says orcs don't lie. The orc thinks that he will hardly be able to convince them that he is not lying. He still did not want to become a king. Instead of caring for the well-being of thousands of subjects, he would rather protect, love, and make his beloved ones happy. Kururu screams how beautiful it is. She is leaving the village for the first time. It fascinates her so much. The orc says that they will go to another human city first. The orc thinks that traveling at random is pointless. As soon as they are back in the city, he will save up money and go in search of the best girls. He tells Tita that, to be honest, he is going to start a new business. She asks if he will sell katsu again. He replies no. Orc says the new business will be huge. At the trading post, Kururu shouts to look. They have set up tents to cook dinner. The orc suggests dinner. They eat while the orc thinks that there were different ways to get to the city, but he chose the caravan for a reason. The orc notices something and looks at it seriously. They ask him if something is wrong. He answers that it is fine. He sees a certain silhouette in a hat and wonders if they really took the bait. A man approaches him and asks if he can sit down, and he allows it. The orc thinks that it looks like he will have to take a more businesslike approach and change not only his manner of speech, but also his way of thinking. He introduces himself as Fedorov Zanulik. To tell the truth, he is a merchant. The orc says that it is so modest of him. He has heard of the Zanulik company. Zanulik says that he is not just a traveling merchant, but a well-known merchant with trading points in many cities, forming a network throughout the world. The orc says he knew this caravan was related to his company, but who would have thought he would be sitting here talking to the owner himself, Mr. Zanulik. The merchant says it's amazing what he knows about him. Few youngsters can achieve success like the orc master with the orc katsu. Orc became famous for his cutlets and foresaw that someone would contact him on business matters, but he did not expect that such a big shot as Mr. Fedorov would respond. Tita asks if something just started. Kururu tells her it's business. They eat apples. Orc says he is just a young man. He just managed to make one popular product. Fedorov agrees, but says he values the ability to create a brand for a product and sell the whole brand. The most important thing is to continue in the same spirit. He can only say it was a brilliant decision. The orc tells him that he is also very much in the know, and he replies that he is, since he has interested him. He says that he is so young, so gifted, he asks, because he thinks that he has earned little. The orc says that, as you can imagine, he wasn't just trying to get his attention. He has one profitable idea. Fedorov says he's all ears. Orc says there's a limit to how big a business one can build alone. He was hoping to find a backer for a powerful company with worldwide sales and an information network. Fedorov claps. Servants bring treats. He says that he had hoped to talk business with him ever since he noticed that he was riding with one of his caravans. Orc says that at such moments it is best to talk while enjoying good drinks. Fedorov tells the girls to help themselves and asks if they are lovers. They answer that they are. They drink the drink. Tita says, "What is this? It is so delicious." Kururu also thinks that it is an excellent drink. The orc thinks that this is not all. It completely suits his tastes. It is quite possible that he studied the shops he shopped at and his tastes. He asks him since when he started watching him. He replies that even before he debuted with his cutlets. He says that it was then that he saw him work in Forlam. He started with 10 million gil, then doubled his profits within 3 months. The orc laughs awkwardly and says that's how he knew it. In fact, that's how the merchant god Randall judged his abilities. Fedorov says he was shocked, at first too carried away by the details of the situation, but he immediately put the theory into practice and succeeded. He tells him uncertainly and suspiciously that somehow he sold everything so easily and disappeared without a trace. He asks him why. He asks him to tell him why he abandoned that business. He says that it was just a test that his mentor came up with. He says that this was a test where he had to double his profits within 3 months. In the end, he achieved much better results, but after completing the test, he had no interest in continuing. The man asks him in surprise if he really started that whole business and abandoned it just because he completed the test. He laughs awkwardly and says he's really shocked. It's not like he imagined. He says it reminds him of someone. The man asks who. The man says it reminds him of Helf Randall, his only rival. The orc chokes on his drink. He smiles awkwardly, sweat dripping off him. He says he's actually his mentor. The man's eyes widen. After a long silence, he starts laughing very loudly and heartily. He says twice that he understands since he is his student. Naturally, he could do something like that under his supervision. The girls are surprised. The orc looks at him calmly and smiling. The man turns his head to the orc and says that the picture is starting to come together. He feels sorry for him now, to raise such a great student and then just let him go. The orc tells him that the mentor told him to open new businesses one after another, also that he could achieve what he wants. The man asks if he can ask him what. He replies that he can ask and that he will tell you everything now. Orc says enthusiastically that in order to travel and meet the best girls and then create a harem, he wants to create a business in order to be able to live peacefully with his women. Fedorov spits out the drink that was in his mouth. He bows his head to his pole and says that he turned down a business with such potential, rejected Randall's offer, and now asks him to become his business partner for such a reason. He raises his head and says sternly, does he really mean to say that he should trust a man who is starting a business, but for whom his harem comes first? Tita and Kururu look at him awkwardly. The orc calmly closes his eyes as if he is preparing for a large-scale response. He shouts at him that this is why he tells him to trust him. He has more important things to do than creating a business, so he needs partners to whom he could offer profitable ideas. Fedorov continues to look at him. Orc looks at him just as seriously, even with an offensive look. The man bows his head to the pole again and after a silence says that this is logical. He agrees to listen to his plan and asks him to tell him more. The orc gets up from the bench, takes out a backpack, and from it takes out some papers. He gives them to the man for inspection. The man smiles and speaks as one would expect from Randall Kelf's apprentice. His mustache even goes up. He says that he thinks it will be profitable and he has thought it all out very well. He adds that without him, his plan would not be possible and he would miss out on some of the profits, so it is a good plan, which he repeats. The orc listens to all this and then with a small smile asks him what he decided after all. Fedorov gets up from his seat and says that of course he agrees. He hands him the papers back and says that if he had refused, he would have turned to another merchant. He asks if that is so. Orc replies that in his opinion they have agreed. The man gets into his caravan where guards are standing. Tita and Kururu are standing nearby and the orc himself bows to him in farewell. Tita asks him what kind of business he was planning to start with him. Kururu says that the paperwork was a bit confusing, so she didn't understand either. Orc calmly tells them that they'll find out soon enough. The orc thinks that, to be honest, it is not easy to explain, because in this regard he uses knowledge from a past life. The caravan leaves the city. The orc thinks to himself about the large-scale plans to start this super huge project.